Okay, if you go to Infowars.com or newswars.com, you'll see the headline, Memo Release Developing. And then you'll link to a story we have that's basically a placeholder. That's what the Washington Examiner has done, which is fine. They basically repeat what Congressman Gowdy has said and what Congressman Nunes has said, Chairman Nunes, and what Congressman Gates has said on this show. And exactly what we've said is in the memo. But they announced it's being released, but our sources said about 15 minutes ago that it'd be in the next hour. So as we speak, it is going out, and it's whoever scans it first and puts it up on the internet first. I don't care either way. I just want to get it out very, very, very quickly before they stage some false flag or something, because they have been in full panic mode. Fisa memo leak. McCabe admits FBI used bogus Steele dossier paid for by Hillary to obtain FISA warrant to spy on Trump. Now, what did I tell you the memo was based on? The memo that was declassified by the FISA court, reporting 3 times that they believed what the FBI was asking for, what the Justice Department was asking for, was illegal. And that is indeed cited in the memo. That's the big tamale. That's the big enchilada right there. And this is just a roadmap, and the House officially saying, you had an insurance policy, you had a secret society, you met with McCabe to fix the intelligence, the deputy director. You went on and on and on and on and on with these attempts and never stopped, never backed down, and just kept pumping the lie about all this. And so now the media is learning the details of what's in the documents, and they're printing me the articles as fast as they come in. If you're driving down the road in your 18-wheeler or listening to us, you know, while you're at the gym or whatever, we will read out all the information as it comes in. Stocks are spooked. Dow falls 400 points. Trump attacks integrity of the FBI and the Justice Department. Politicized probe in favor of Dems. Memo released, ... developing, ... Details. That is the Drudge Report. As the media scrabbles and talks to members of Congress, as the memo begins to go out, you will then see the articles developing. That's not what we did when the former head of the NSA pointed out that, hey, this whole memo, except for the excise parts, is in plain view. We just posted the whole thing. But what a lot of media will do is, as they get it, and I think it's clear that some of these Washington-based groups that are on the Hill now have it, they are writing articles about it instead of just publishing the memo. So the race is on to publish the memo. Check our email. I know Watson's on it. I know Stone's on it. We're told it could be coming in any minute, and just post it directly the second it comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com, Newswars.com are all on the cutting edge right now as the memo in the last 20 minutes got released by Congress. But it's been released to media sources that are on the Hill first, and I guess they've decided to write articles about what they've got in the memo rather than just put the memo out. But it'll just be minutes, we're told, 10 minutes to an hour until it is posted on the House Intelligence Community website for the House of Representatives. So the House Intelligence Committee will be publishing that, we're told, by congressional sources in the hour. And that was about 20 minutes ago. So we will be following that. And the second it gets published, the memo itself, we will publish the memo and we will read the memo. Obviously, a lot of media outlets have run with memo released, and then you go and there's just placeholders. That's what Fox News has done. It's what True Pundit's done. It's what Washington Examiner's done, and that's fine. We've done it as well at Infowars.com. But as we add to the article, we're giving some of the backstory of last week when we published to get media attention. It was on the Director of National Intelligence own website, got no media coverage, that there was a 99-page document, and that the excise parts are the roadmap of who called for it, who did it. And so that is now indeed reportedly in that memo, as we said. But we know it has horrified the Democrats. Let's go ahead and go live to the president, or if you can back it up to where he started. The president is discussing the memo released on Fox News right now. So we will go ahead and go to the president.
Declassified. Congress will do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that and you see that and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that. So I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed. Thank you very much. Are you not concerned that the FBI doesn't want the memo out? Thank you very much.
Does it make you more likely to fire Rosenstein? Do you still have confidence in him after reading the memo?
You figure that one out.
We haven't seen it yet, though.
I don't think so. These are just great people that have suffered incredibly. There were many, many others like them that have suffered so much. And they were here, and I said, let's tell you a story very quickly. We have others in a different room, as I told you, that are really petrified to be here. Petrified. So it's tough stuff. It's tough stuff.
Mr. President, do you believe there's more that the United States can do to help North Korean defectors?
Well, we're doing a lot. We've done more than... we have many administrations that should have acted on this a long time ago. When it wasn't at this kind of when we weren't in this kind of a position. You know, we ran out of road. You know the expression. The road really ended. They could have done it 12 years ago. They could have done it 20 years ago. They could have done it 4 years ago, 2 years ago. We have no road left.
We'll come back with more if it gets into the memo. Here's the issue. As we told you, as Congressman Gates told you here on this broadcast, and as other congressional sources told you, it is a roadmap of Congress and of the Intelligence Committee saying we found that they premeditatedly lied, made up Russian collusion, created a fake dossier, paid money for it, and we have witnesses, we have FBI agents that are ready to go public. The Steele dossier formed an essential part of the initial and all 3 renewals of Fisa applications against Carter Page. The media thinks you're dumb. They spin it and go, who cares about Carter Page and a wiretap on him? Because that Fisa memo isn't a classic wiretap. It's to spy on millions of people in a dragnet. That's what they do with these Fisa situations. Andrew McCabe confirmed that no Fisa warrant would have been sought from the Fisa court without the Steele dossier information. Yeah, the word is McCabe is singing like a canary. The political origins of the Steele dossier were known to senior DOJ and FBI officials, but excluded from the Fisa applications. Oh, they didn't tell them that. The DOJ official, Bruce Orr, met with Steele. Remember, his wife worked at Fusion GPS just for the job. She just got hired for the dossier beginning in the summer of 2016 and relayed to DOJ information about Steele's bias. Steele told Orr that Steele was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected president and was passionate about him not becoming president, which is more communications, more witnesses in the FBI, not just text messages now, not just him talking to his girlfriend or somebody talking to his wife, or not just Orr talking to his wife at Fusion GPS, but directly talking to McCabe and others about this situation and how they wanted to stop Trump. So the president says a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves. It's beyond that. They're trying to steal our election. They're trying to steal our votes. Every vote for Trump, they're trying to overturn it. Breaking Trump on newly declassified GOP memo alleging FBI abuses. A lot of people should be ashamed of themselves. There's no alleging. You have the text messages. You have the FBI agents that are now talking to Congress. And this is just the beginning, as Congressman Gates and many others said, and as I told you last week from our sources, that it's the roadmap for a public indictment. The House indicts in an impeachment as well. So this is a public indictment, and then now it gives the president and others room to move against him. The Democrats know this was all political. CNN and MSNBC know it was all political. They know what this was all about, and they are scared to death, saying it's the end of America. It's the end of our democracy. It's the end, as if the FBI and Robert Mueller are the government and everybody else doesn't matter. And if political appointments like Robert Mueller, Democratic Party operatives who protected the Clinton crime machine, if they want to step in and use a made-up dossier about Trump being urinated on, and then leverage that in to claim that there's some perjury somewhere or there's some obstruction, when they're the ones lying to Congress that there was no leaks. Comey told Congress I didn't leak. He directly then later said, oh, I gave it to a friend in the press to leak it. Oh, you gave it to a professor of journalism to leak it. It's the same. It's like saying if I hire somebody to go kill somebody, and then I'm on video telling the person, here's $10,000, now go kill this person, and they go kill the person, I am just as guilty or more because I generated it. It's murder one. I didn't pull the trigger, you didn't pull the trigger, but you gave the order. This is open and shut. And Comey's like, well, I told Congress that I never leaked because I didn't. I gave it to a journalist friend. You gave it to a professor friend of yours in the journalism school? To then give it to the Washington Post? Oh, okay. And then McCabe got caught leaking. So they have really made some bold moves here. And again, this is Congress leveling up. The memo is Trump leveling up and saying, we have your names on the 3 FISA court events. During the campaign, the nomination, right through his election, when he's president-elect. Those 3 warrants. When he's getting the nomination, when he's running against Hillary, and then when he's president-elect. 3 different warrants to spy on everything in Trump land, to spy, and then they lie to the media and say they didn't. And it's exactly as William Benny, we got to get Benny back on ASAP emergency today if we have to. Just get him on, please. Benny said, I got a call. They'd like you to look at this memo. No one's giving it attention. And then the media spun it. Oh, Jones made it up. It's not the congressional memo. And what's Benny know? Oh, I don't know. I don't know who picked up the phone and called him and said, we'd like to see this on the show. Come on. Maybe we'll tell you who asked him to talk about it. Because that is the basis of the roadmap of their fraud. And that's what they're now reporting is in the memo. See? Oh, next week's news today. Infowars was on target. Infowars was correct. And that Jedi mind trick crap didn't work on me. We'll be back.
This is ad-free Alex.
Ad-free Alex. Congressional memo that details links and a roadmap to a larger investigation that is now going to be launched into the confirmed political operation at the Justice Department starting in the summer of 2016 before the RNC, then when he was the nominee, and then when he was president-elect for 2 months, spying on his entire entourage, the Republican Party, Republican members of Congress, yours truly, and a roadmap to demonize and call everyone who is victorious in the American resistance against the globalist Russian agents. And the document is up on Infowars.com. Yes, the document, the original document that we broke last Tuesday, that the media used a Jedi mind trick and said, oh, well, that's declassified. That's not the secret part. It's the roadmap of this memo, and it's now confirmed that it is the blacked out areas that are being pointed out in this new memo that shows, here's the key, being reported by all the newspapers now, that it shows criminal activity lying to the FISA court, not once, not twice, but 3 times. What did I say last week over and over again and every hour, every day? Again, FISA memo confirms surveillance of Trump campaign was based on dodgy Steele dossier. That's Paul's latest article. But let's go back to last week's article where we published the full memo that the Director of National Intelligence had published on their website that was hiding in plain view, that had excised portions, but only about 10%, road mapping 3 times that people went to the court and the court said, we believe what you're doing is illegal, so they would come back, excluding the political nature of it and lying about their intelligence to get the warrants, which we now know were illegal and fraudulent and political. Read page 19 of the 99-page memo. This is what Nunes based the proof of the perjury to Congress about what the FBI, Democrat leadership did, the Democrat moles in the FBI. That's what it is. And then it expands into them lying to also get the 3 warrants, exactly as we told you. William Binney is obviously being advised by not just WikiLeaks, but the CIA. He's the former technical head of the NSA. He came on last week and for an hour laid everything out in front of you. Then we had Congressman Gates on to lay it out, saying the roadmap is coming out. That's all this is the roadmap. The president's going to fight back. We have the proof they've colluded. Well, that's bombshell. But this is just the beginning. And it's them lying to the court 3 times. Here, pull up the Washington Examiner. It's linked on drudgereport.com and read what they say the main finding is. That they lied to the Fisa court, and the judge has now recused themselves, that they lied to the court to get the memo. And what does the court say? They say, we were lied to. This was illegal. 3 times. They just blacked out who came to them and who did it. Well, Nunes can read the blacked out parts. Oh, but let's not listen to William Binney, former technical director of the NSA, or anybody else of these congressmen we have on. Let's listen to CNN and Media Matters saying, I hoaxed everyone and this had nothing to do with it. When, oh, I'm sorry, the CIA, just said, hey, you're going on Alex's show today. You really need to cover this because this is the real memo. But just don't listen to us ever, of course. So you get next week's news today. So here's the big news. Again, they lied to get the 3 warrants when he was about to be nominated. It's all right here. When it was about to be nominated. Then it happened again once he was nominated, and then it happened when he became president-elect. 3 different warrants to track everything, trying to find something, trying to get Russians in to see him. Okay, we have the memo now. It is posted on Infowars.com in the Kit Daniels article with that same headline. It just went live, just as I told you. We get it the next 15 minutes, and here it is, Infowars.com. Hit refresh on the article that is on Infowars.com, and you will be able to see the memo. But for TV viewers, document cam, please. Let's start going over this. And again, this has been released by the White House. They were telling us that Congress was going to be releasing it, our sources, and I guess they probably released their own copy. But this is on White House letterhead, February 2nd, Groundhog's Day, 2018. Here is the memo. And it is a detailed 4-page memo. And just as we knew, it is unclassified sections detailing and tying it all together with the proof of the testimonies in Congress, and then the perjury, and then the lying to the federal court to get the document and to get the warrants, which is also perjury. We have them up one side and down the other, my friends. This is devastating. So now, Infowars.com. Send the link out to everybody. Infowars.com/show or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching, or local radio stations or TV stations. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your family, your coworkers, people that disagree with you. Go read this for yourself, because this is all, just looking at it, is exactly what we knew was there. How they did it, how they carried it out, where they perjured themselves, the crimes that have been committed. It's all laid out in a devastating 4-page memo detailing the Fisa court and then the public statements and all of it. This is incredible. So, the Honorable Devin Nunes, this is on the letterhead, the White House, Washington, February 2nd, 2018. The Honorable Devin Nunes, Chairman, House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, United States Capitol. And boy, they're going after Nunes, calling it treason, saying they want him arrested, that he's getting all these death threats because the guy's a patriot and isn't selling the country out. We finally have some good men in Congress who've got huevos of steel. On January 29, 2018, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, hereafter the committee, voted to disclose publicly a memorandum containing classified information provided to the committee in connection with the oversight activities. Oh, by the way, we're now learning what Adam Schiff is saying is forgery because they took the memo and changed it into letterhead and fixed a typo from their original letter. That's now been confirmed. So, again, they're saying fraud is fixing a typo from one letter to what the White House put out. So let's continue with this incredible information. On January 29, 2018, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, hereafter, the committee voted to disclose publicly a memorandum containing classified information provided to the committee in connection with its oversight activities. The memorandum, which is attached to this letter, as provided by Clause 11G of Rule X of the House of Representatives, the committee has forwarded this memorandum to the president based on its determination that the release of the memorandum should serve the public interest. The Constitution vests the president with the authority to protect national security secrets from disclosure. As the Supreme Court has recognized, it is the president's responsibility to classify and declassify. We're going to stop right there. When we come back, they're laying out the legal precedent for them to even release this memo because they knew they'd come after him for it. And then they get into a basic breakdown and then key exhibit points that will now be released to the public. Stay with us as we read the memo that strikes fear into the deep state and the multinational criminal combines burrowed inside our government.
This is Ad-Free Alex.
Narcissistic filth, the communist Chinese, the NWO, Hollywood, the disgusting, filthy NFL, all of it can go back to hell where it came from. We're knocking them dead. We have the memo, and I've had a chance to look over it during the break. It's exactly what our congressional sources said it was. And you first got the White House 2 pages describing why Donald F. McGahn, the second counsel of the president, decided that the president was going to authorize its release. And they state via the executive branch their executive power to release it if they wish. They're calling it treason that the president's released it, claiming it's illegal. You've got New York State claiming that feds getting rid of the exemption above $10,000 for property taxes or income taxes, state income taxes is illegal, and they're suing over that. It's pure crap. There's no precedent in law anywhere. And they were arrogant about the memo a few weeks ago. Now they have been in desperate chicken with their heads cut off mode. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the memo here. The Constitution vests the president with the authority to protect national security secrets from disclosure. As the Supreme Court has recognized, it is the president's responsibility to classify and declassify and control access to information bearing on our intelligence sources and methods and national defense. And they list the U.S. Code. In order to facilitate appropriate congressional oversight, the executive branch may entrust classified information to the appropriate committees of Congress as it is done in connection with the committee's oversight activities. The president's telling you he quarterbacked this from January 20th. First thing he did was go in there and find out, okay, who did the unmasking? The former president, sir. Here's the order. Here's the Fisa document. Heads up displays. He was given 3-hour briefings, I'm told. I know some of the folks that were in the room and outside the room getting the further reports. Then he marched over to the CIA, then the NSA. He pulled it all up, looked at it all, saw how they tracked him, followed him, listened to everything, tried to put people on him, tried to set him up with the Russians. And then he sat back while they lied and let them set themselves up, perjuring themselves to Congress when he knew everything they were doing. He even let McCabe and Comey come in and perjure themselves to Congress, lie to him face to face. He played dumb the whole time. And now we can tell you what we did to you, scum. We set you up the whole time. Hope you enjoy yourselves. Part of the story that Mueller was secretly on the president's side, the only truth to that is that the president was setting them up the whole time. Fools, your arrogance is what will destroy you. Excuse me, let me just get back into this. I'm sorry. Just if you know how to read this stuff, see what the letter says. The president released this. The president did this. The president gave it to Congress. The president met. Of course he did. It's his authority to give the intelligence on criminal groups inside our country trying to overthrow our election and our republic and shut down the free press. They keep asking, has Nunes met with the president? Has Nunes talked about this? Of course he has. It's what the president's supposed to do. You are an outside threat. You are enemy combatants. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. The Supreme Court has recognized it is the president's responsibility to classify and declassify and control access to information bearing on our intelligence sources and methods and national defense. See, they forgot who they are in the government. They're there to serve the people. In order to facilitate appropriate congressional oversight, the executive branch may entrust classified information to the appropriate committee of Congress as it is done in connection with the committee's oversight activities here. The executive branch does so on the assumption that the committee will responsibly protect such classified information consistent with the laws of the United States. The committee has now determined that the release of the memorandum would be appropriate. The executive branch across administrations, both parties, has worked to accommodate congressional request to declassify specific materials in the public interest. He gave the investigation to the proper body, the House. They investigated. They said, yes, this is terrible. And now, boom. However, public release of the classified information by unilateral actions of the legislative branch is extremely rare and raises significant separation of powers concerns. Accordingly, the committee's request to release the memorandum is interpreted as a request for declassification pursuant to the president's authority. So he did it, again, as the president. He initiated it. He gave it to the investigative body, the House. That's an impeachment or any other matter. They begin the investigation. And now the indictment has been handed back to the American people. Powerful. Powerful. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, as the president just said. The committee has now determined that the release of the memorandum would be appropriate. The executive branch across administrations, and it goes on. Under the president's authority, the president understands that the protection of our national security represents his highest obligations. Accordingly, he's directed lawyers and national security staff to assess for the declassification request consistent with the establishment standards governing the handling of classified information, including those under Section 3.1D of Executive Order 13526. Those standards permit declassification when the public interest is disclosure outweighs any need to protect the information. That's a repeat of the National Security Act, basically, as well. The White House review process has included input from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. That's who originally released the actual heart of the matter, the main internal memo. The White House review process also includes input from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice. Consistent with the review of these standards, the president has determined declassification of the memorandum is appropriate. And the same program went on to release this to the public, the one we released last week. Based on this assessment and in light of the significant public interest in the memorandum, the president has authorized the classification of the memorandum. To be clear, the memorandum reflects the judgments of its congressional authors. The president understands that oversight concerns matters related to the memorandum may be continuing. Though the circumstances leading to the declassification through the process are extraordinary, the executive branch stands ready to work with Congress to accommodate oversight requests consistent with the applicable standards and process, including the need to protect intelligence sources and methods. Let me boil that down for you. We got a lot more we're going to give to Congress that will dwarf this if the Democrats and the globalists and the corrupt people at the top of the FBI don't roll over. If you don't roll over, and if you keep having this war to try to stop the recovery and all the rest of it, we got everything on you, Jack, just like our military source, Zach, was saying. They got everything, all of it. And if you want to play hardball, let's do it. Soros and all of it, just keep pushing. No one stood up to you. You had a Republican leadership that you were in bed with before. You're facing opposition that now has the presidency, most of the states, and most of the courts. You will be defeated. Only a nuke attack, taking out the president and the Republican leadership like they could have done at that West Virginia event with the whole situation. I mean, they shouldn't all be in one place at one time. I don't think that's smart, unless the Democrats are there as well. And they still might wipe out their own people in a sacrifice. I mean, these are serious people we're up against, okay? I mean, George Soros was happy to round up thousands of fellow Jews and send them off to death camps. And the left loves him for that. They think that's powerful. They like that. Let's continue here. So that is released to the Speaker of the House by the President and to the Honorable Adam Schiff, ranking member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. So that is the letter from the president's lawyer explaining that Trump learned of this secret information as the president, the criminal activity. He then gave it to the House Intelligence Committee, and they have now handed the indictment to the public. And that's why you see headlines like The White House is getting their intel from Infowars because they're the ones saying that Trump was being spied on. That was all made up. We knew because the Democrats had bragged about it during the campaign, thinking that Hillary would win. I mean, so it's just amazing. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, the actual 4-page memo, I will read it on air. That was the hors d'oeuvre in explaining the attack profile, the legalness of this, and what's coming next. Now we'll go to the memo itself on the other side. Infowars.com. Stay with us. Jones, thank you so much for joining us. I got to tell you, reading the 2-page cover letter that the president's lawyer wrote tells you more than the memo itself does. It's exactly what Congressman Gates earlier this week told us it would be. It is exactly what we knew it would be. It is a codified indictment of the compendium of what we know with the Democrats organizing this fraud to stop Trump from becoming president. And then once he was elected, to try to remove him from the presidency. A classic conspiracy, and we have their text messages, we have witnesses, we have all of it. But Trump's being very judicious. As president, he learned of it. He then sent it to the House, the intelligence. They investigated, said, yes, this is really horrible. And now the president says, well, if you need more information, we'll have to have it reviewed by the Director of National Intelligence and by the Justice Department. We'll send that on over to you. So what it really is a giant warning. We caught you. We have you red-handed. Stop denying it. We don't want to, quote, hurt the FBI. We don't want to put you all in prison. You need to stop now your fraud. You've been caught. You're the ones up to your eyeballs with the Russians. But just as I've told the president every time I've talked to him, they're never going to stop. And if they make deals, sir, they're going to break them. And they do. Because they're so used to being in power. You look at Pelosi and Schumer, and I mean, they look like crazy villains out of a Batman movie or something. I mean, Batman villains don't look that nutty and that ugly. And that, I mean, look at Schumer, the way he was acting, and Michael Moore. And I mean, these are really a bunch of losers who know they're losers. So they crave running everything because they're such sacks of garbage. But enough of that. The memo is everything we already knew. It just lines it up and lets Congress tell the public what they found and then let the establishment know this is a big warning to you. Get out of the way of America's recovery. Stop your lies. Stop your fraud. And they can't stop. They're going to come out. They're going to attack this. They're going to lie. They can't help it. And then Moore's just going to get released. And Mueller's not going to stop. He's going to have a grand jury indict a sitting president, never before been done, isn't even constitutional. And they've got Politico articles and Reuters articles every day saying, well, lawyers now say Trump could be removed by a jury. Well, then there's no separation of powers. The jury is the House of Representatives. They're the grand jury. The jury's the Senate. That's how it works. Or any town in America could get their cousins together on a jury and say the president's, I mean, Travis County would have had Trump indicted before he ever got in office. I live in the Democratic county that's always indicting Republicans around the state and trying to put them in prison. They always get overturned, whether it's Rick Perry or Tom DeLay, but that's what they do. They're not all corrupt, but when it comes to politics, Travis County's famous for it. So that's what they're doing. And the word is now, Trump's being told they are planning to indict you for perjury. And then there's not even evidence of obstruction or perjury there. All the evidence is the Democrats and the FBI agents lying to Congress, but lying to the Fisa court. And that's the key. That's why the Director of National Intelligence that Trump puts at the end of the letter released the declassified memo. It was the president declassified the body. Just took the names out of who did it. And that's it. It's the names of them going and lying to get it. I know I keep repeating that, but you're not seeing anywhere in the media as usual what this is. It's a threat from the president to them that we have you by the short hairs. You better back off right now. And we've caught you in perjury in Congress and to the FISA court. And I keep repeating this because it's bombshell that Trump says in the letter that's attached to the FISA memo what the next game plan is. He spells it out. where the lawyers at the DNC 1,000% get exactly what he's saying. So here it is, January 18, 2018. This is the secret memo that was finished in January, 2 weeks ago, roughly. And they lay out the purpose, the investigative update, the whole roadmap, and then what they found. And I read it, and it's exactly everything you've already heard here over and over again. And they've had people testify in the DOJ meetings, not just the documents, that Orr, Strzok, all of them were desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. And they now have this from the deputy head of the FBI, who sung like a canary. And that's why the Democrats are crapping themselves up one side and down the other. They are in conniption fits. Oh, who's the FBI informant? The disgraced McCabe, who just resigned a few days ago. Okay, you may not go to prison, but you're out of the FBI. Get out of here. You go. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And Trump is signaling, be ashamed of yourselves, be ashamed of yourselves, stop trying to organize killing me and all the rest of it. And I'm telling you, they can't stop. You think Mueller's going to stop? That nut thinks he's the president. He thinks we elected him. Wow, this is just incredible. Let me read into the most important parts of this, and then I'll come back in and get into more of it as well. But this is simply amazing. Here it is on page 3. And it gets into it, just as we covered last week when we already all right here. It was already in the actual memo they're sourcing. Just now we have the names. Before and after Steele was terminated as a source, he maintained contact with the DOJ via then Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, whose wife worked at Fusion GPS and was paid to create the dossier. A senior DOJ official who worked closely with Deputy Attorney General Yates and later Rosenstein, who appointed a special counsel. See, Rosenstein's their operative. Shortly after the election, the FBI began interviewing Orr, documenting his communications with Steele. For example, in September 2016, Steele admitted to Orr his feelings against then-candidate Trump when Steele said was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. This clear evidence, that's a quote, of Steele's bias was recorded by Orr at the time and subsequently in official FBI files, but not reflected in any of the page FISA applications. No, and then it gets into what they did say to get it, which is a perjury to the court. Oh, this is not political at all. It's foreign intelligence. We're looking at foreigners. During the same period, Orr's wife was employed by Fusion GPS to assist in the cultivation of opposition research of Trump. Orr later provided the FBI with all of his wife's opposition research paid for by the DNC and Clinton campaign via Fusion GPS. The Orr's relationship with Steele and Fusion GPS was inexplicably concealed from the FISA. Yeah, they gave fake reasons. They did a parallel construction. We're going to go to break, come back with Roger Stone. I'll read over more of this. This is huge. I don't even know if he's back yet from England, speaking there at Oxford to the faculty at the Oxford Union. If you like winning and you like turning the country back around and you like 2,200,000 new jobs and you like the highest wage increases in modern history and the biggest small business startups and Apple coming back to the U.S. and all the rest of this, you like the optimism, fund our operation. We're under total globalist attack. You can't put your money anywhere to resist Soros and Clinton and the globalists better than Infowars, period. I thank you for your prayers. I thank you for your will. I thank you for spreading the word, the articles, the videos. You're the reason we're starting to turn the corner. But
yes. How mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test and you'll see. So mild, so mild, so mild that you're bound to agree. That Camel suits you to a T, to a T. Smoke Camel and see.
You know, each week the makers of Camels send free cigarettes to hospitalized servicemen and veterans. This week's gift Camels go to Veterans Hospitals Boise, Idaho, and Topeka, Kansas. United States Army Air Force Station Hospital, West Overfield, Massachusetts, and the United States Naval Hospital, Quantico, Virginia. The Camel people have now sent more than 190 million gift Camels to servicemen, servicewomen, and veterans.
Adams, but first, that's the words I always say, but first, I want you to see something. See what we have here? That sneaky? I'm telling you, those codeine folks think of everything. You'd never guess that this was a chest rub, would you? Well, it is, by golly, and what's more, this codeine stick chest rub combines the most modern and effective ingredients in the easiest to use form that you've ever tried. You see how it works? Like a king-size lipstick. Your fingers never touch it. Codeine stick chest rub is the only one you can use without getting yourself or the youngsters all greasy and messy. And you don't like greasy youngsters, do you?
Well,
of course not.
A lot of the top people in the FBI that were part of the Clinton Crime Network,
when you rub codeine stick
Stay Behind Network,
forehead,
are now singing like canaries to the House Intelligence Committee and to the president. And the word is from very good sources. It's Mr. McCabe, who's lucky he's not going to get indicted. The whole House of Cards is imploding. The man that they said front and center was the top Russian agent at the heart of this just spoke to the major unions there in the UK. He spoke to Oxford. Now he's going to Cambridge. He joins us via telephone as he drives through the English countryside. So we'll see what happens, and then we'll, in this segment, the next, read some of the real bombshell areas, the memo that we haven't gotten to yet, but it's exactly what Roger Stone said back in January and February of last year from his sources. It's exactly, and it's the president we now know from the cover page, which is even bigger than I think than what we already knew in the memo, that says, I'm the author, basically, of allowing the intel of the House. I'm ready to give more intel to you that will destroy these people if they don't come to heel, if they don't cry for quarter. The problem is they're not going to give us quarter, are they, Roger?
Oh, Alex, I've got to tell you, in the 40 years I've been active in American politics, in the 10 presidential campaigns I've been through, I've never seen anything like this. And not only is it extraordinary, but equally troubling is the fact that the president's appointees as both FBI and CIA directors joined the cover-up and sought to keep this information from the American people. They actually argued against the release of a memo that not only exonerates the president on the question of Russian collusion, but proves that the FBI actively was involved in fabricating evidence to justify the surveillance of the Republican candidate for president of the United States.
It's 10,000 times worse than what Nixon.
It's criminality.
It's 10,000 times worse than Nixon.
Oh, Watergate pales in comparison. This is the illegitimate use of the surveillance power and authority of the state against a major party candidate for president.
And now they fought. So they're fighting to obstruct now. They perjured to Congress. They lied to the FISA court to get the 3 warrants. They have lied to the president. I mean, they have committed so many crimes. It's dizzying, Roger.
Well, we now know that they fabricated the underlying evidence. They never told the FISA court the origins of the dirty dossier, that it had come not from the Bureau, not from our own internal investigations by our intelligence services, but from a political source. The president needs to fire the current FBI director, Mr. Wray, who has fought the release of this document, and as far as the last I heard, was preparing a rebuttal that he was going to put out shortly after the release. That's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. He is more interested in covering up the illegal and unconstitutional.
Listen, there are a lot of good people in the FBI. Why can't Trump find a patriot that's known to be an American and not a deep state turd? What is wrong with these people? They are so arrogant.
Well, you notice when he resigned last week, Trey Gowdy, a great American, said he was returning to law enforcement. Notice he didn't say to the practice of law. He said law enforcement. Let us hope.
And in fact, that was why I tried to get a hold of you yesterday. The word is he's going to be joining some type of task force Trump's setting up.
Well, clearly he must be planning to go into service for the administration. He did pass up the opportunity earlier to be FBI director. Let's be clear where Mr. Wray came from. He was heavily promoted by New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
Oh, you're saying he's announcing he's not going to run for re-election because he may take that FBI director job now.
That's what I believe. I'm keying this off the fact that he said he would be going back to law enforcement. He also knows that he couldn't wait till the last minute to vacate the seat.
All right, stay there.
This is ad-free Alex.
Ad-free Alex.
That's what Trump says, the American people fighting back. That's his orders. He's my commander-in-chief, to me. And I don't follow orders unless they're constitutional, and you bet I love following those orders. So I'll quote Darth Vader and tell you this, stay in attack formation, because they're not going to give up yet. Roger Stone is having a whirlwind tour. At first it was Oxford, and they wanted him at all the other big universities. He's on his way to Cambridge. Can't wait to get all the HD footage back and exclusively air that here. But he's all over the news there. The Guardian is police saying, you shouldn't interview Stone. Take him off the air, just like they did here. Take him off Fox. Take him off CNN. These authoritarians want to just call you a Russian agent, call me a Russian agent, have congressional hearings about censoring us. The former president is suing you through this law firm he set up and admits he runs with DNC money. Behind the scenes, we can't announce it yet. We got Soros-connected groups suing me, but we're breaking their back right now, Roger. This devastating memo, let's go through the trifecta here and all the other key intel you've got. And you're telling me it's on fire over there in the UK. I mean, this is the biggest political soap opera. It's so sexy. It's so real. It's got such curves. It's the Marilyn Monroe of this, and it's bringing America back. It's not some demoralizing scandal that hurts the country. It is a cleansing. It is a good political bloodletting. And you read the president's intro sheet. Here's the trifecta. I got more crap on you, and we're going to come for you. You got caught perjuring yourself to the Fisa court. You perjured yourself to Congress. You perjured yourself to the American people. We have you now. We have your whole operation. I mean, what on earth? I'm just speechless, Roger Stone, right now. And how vindicated do you feel? Well, I'll tell you this. I wouldn't feel too vindicated. They killed Trump and get the system through. They say they plan to arrest everybody, thousands of us. They plan to end the free press. We're facing real cancer, and we've got to rout it out or the country's dead. Go ahead, Roger.
That's why I think the president's got to clean house. His FBI director was more interested in the cover-up of illegal activities by the agency than he was in exonerating the president in the phony Russian collusion investigation. His CIA director was lockstep. Oh, no, we can't release the memo. It'll expose our methods. Well, the American people need to know what the methods are if the methods are illegal. The president needs to clean house, and his opportunity to do so is now. He should fire FBI Director Wray. He should fire CIA Director Pompeo. I must tell you, Alex, one amazing thing about being in the UK is how many info warriors there are here. You have a huge following for what we are doing. The turnouts in Oxford and in Durham of young, freedom-oriented students in these supposedly liberal bastions has really been heartening. You would get an amazing reception here. People really like what we are doing at the tip of the spear.
I know that, but we have you as a great emissary, my friend. I can stay here in the command bunker. But I would like to go out and meet a lot of the fans. I get mobbed in the UK, mobbed in Europe, even crazier in the U.S. And that's not bragging. It's a gauge for people out there who feel like they're alone. Well, you're not a public figure, listeners. And believe me, there's some downsides to it, so enjoy your anonymity. But when you get mobbed everywhere and people love you, you know you're winning. And then, of course, every 10th person tries to pour coffee on you or assault you. So there's also that crazed nature. Have people tried to attack you like they do in New York, Roger?
There's no question. The libtards were out in full force last night, screaming about racism and misogyny and all their identity politics BS, because that's all they have. They have nothing else. And, of course, everybody wants to ask me the most important question. do you really know Paul Joseph Watson?
Yeah, he's a rock star and doesn't know it. And, you know, that's the thing is you're really a libertarian Republican. You're fiscally conservative, pro-America. But, I mean, you go to the gay rights parades. You've been for hemp legalization for 30 years. I mean, you're a pretty socially liberal guy. And when they come and try to stop your events, calling you a Nazi and all this stuff, it's just asinine BS.
Well, you know, look, I'm anti-war. I think we ought to be out of Afghanistan, out of Syria. But my real concern is about the erosion of our civil liberties. And this scandal is all about that. Look, they got a FISA court warrant to spy on yours truly, and they lied to do it. They have violated my civil rights at the same time they were spying on Paul Manafort, Carter Page, and Donald J. Trump.
And the media spins it and goes, who cares about Carter Page? Each warrant allows them to spy on millions in a giant dragnet and target everybody, including myself. And they admit I've been in those phone calls, and there's no collusion. There's nothing. They know that, Roger.
Well, that's why The Guardian yesterday said that the BBC should not interview Roger Stone. You see, they like censorship. They can't win in the battlefield of ideas. They can't win an honest debate. So they just want to silence us. That's why yesterday I punked the British media by going by the tiny, cramped Ecuadorian embassy where Julian Assange, who is not a Russian asset, who is a valiant, honest journalist, is, you know, basically being held a political prisoner.
Amazing. So what do you expect to happen now? I mean, do you agree with me that it's the cover letter is what's most important? We already knew all the stuff in here. It just shows Trump tells him, I got a lot more. I created the investigation. The House found that, you know, that this was going on, and I'm ready to come after you more. I mean, I don't see how they recover from this.
Well, watch the FBI carefully, because I think that they will launch a counterattack. They're going to try to discredit the Nunes memo. Also watch Shifty Adam Schiff. This guy has got to be desperate now because the fact that he's been working overtime to cover up sedition, to cover up this treasonous activity, you know, this man has no shame. So he will attempt to rewrite history. I battled with the BBC all day today saying, you're undermining the authority of law enforcement. You're helping Vladimir Putin. No, I'm not. I want the law enforcement agencies in the United States to operate within the parameters of the U.S. Constitution.
Everybody knows that third world nations and every other empire falls when the law enforcement becomes corrupt and becomes political. It's over. Going back to Julius Caesar 2,050-something years ago. So it's the same story over and over again. They know that. Everybody knows third world countries. They have corrupt police and stuff, so that's why they can't get their act together. And they're now bringing banana boat republic garbage here, and they've been caught red-handed. But it's not just like they knew, as Stroke says in the text messages, there's no proof. Oh my God, we're in trouble. There's no Russian collusion, but we can't let him get into office. It's worse than that, Roger, because then Hillary is up to her eyeballs in real Russian collusion.
Well, the other thing we know is that the president's de facto attorney general, Rod Rosenstein, has known all of this the entire time. He should also be discharged. Now, interestingly, Alex, he very quietly, through Reince Priebus, then the White House chief of staff, got the president to sign a document that changed the line of authority at the Justice Department. So all decisions go first to the attorney general, then the first deputy, but then instead of going to the solicitor general, they go to the second deputy, a Bush deep stater. Then they go to the U.S. attorney in Texas, another deep stater, and then they go to the U.S. attorney in North Carolina. How curious. This was their insurance policy so that Mueller and Rosenstein could never be discharged.
That's right. They go, oh my gosh, he got in. We've already been illegally spying. We got to cover this up. Okay, hire a special counsel. Rosenstein had already been quarterbacking this with McCabe, with Comey. Oh, Mr. President, we have to do this. They do it on their own authority. They change the power structure to then route it around internal affairs, the inspector general. They turn off internal affairs. That right there's the headline. Rosenstein turned off Justice Department internal affairs to carry out unethical operations. I mean, it's the president's duty to fire them now, even if it looks like he's doing it to stop them from investigating them, because they're a bunch of crooks.
It is absolutely essential that he fire the FBI director and the de facto attorney general, Mr. Rosenstein, immediately. They are up to their knees in this cover-up.
And let's explain that, folks. We break the law if the president doesn't do that. Let's do one more segment, Roger. We have to. They committed crimes. They've been caught. You can't keep them there.
This is Ad-Free Alex.
Cambridge. We just spoke to a packed house in Oxford, where the Infowar has taken the island kingdom by storm. I think we've already passed our darkest hour, at least in the current fights with the globalists, but there are great fights coming up as well, and eternal vigilance is needed. Roger, you've been dropping some big bombshells on me while we were talking, as you've been talking to your sources and others. So what does the president have to worry about now? Where are we at the juncture with this memo? And how do the Democrats grab victory from the jaws of their defeat? How do we make sure that we don't smoke the same pipe of arrogance that they've smoked? Let's look at the danger factors right now in this epic sea in which we swim.
Well, let's remember, Alex, we still have the establishment's hitman, Robert Mueller, the special counsel out there, and he has sent two strong signals this week. I still believe, as I predicted here some time ago, that the indictment of the president's son-in-law on some completely phony, trumped-up, non-Russian-related charge is imminent. And I literally just got a text message from an Associated Press reporter who wants to know whether I hope you're sitting down, whether Hope Hicks, the president's communications director, was working for the Russians. I kid you not, which is the most absurd, ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
While you've been in England, they're all over TV saying Nunes is a Russian agent. I mean, it's like saying he's a purple dragon from Pop-Tart land, from Candyland. I mean, it's entered, and and we laugh at this. I laughed at it and said, stop being so upset a few years ago, and they were saying about you. Then when they say it about me and start cutting our websites off and banning us because I'm a Russian agent, man, it's like, it makes you want to punch somebody in the nose.
Well, you got John McCain out only minutes ago saying the only person benefiting from the release of this memo is Vladimir Putin. This guy is literally demented at this point. No, Senator, the people who are benefiting from this memo are the American people, because the corruption of our intelligence agencies has been laid bare for everybody to see, so that the president can clean house, fire Rosenstein, fire Director Wray.
Think about that. They've been caught in their own text messages and admissions making up Russiagate to overturn an elected president. They're the foreign globalist multinational power. We're exposing they're a foreign power. That's what these Democrats are. They admit it. They want to get rid of the country, its borders, everything. We expose that. They go, oh, no America first. You're really Russians. And then try to block the recovery. It's so ridiculous. And now if we don't let them impeach Trump or indict him and remove him, we're Russian agents. Just do whatever we say or you're Russian agents. And Rand Paul, you're a Russian agent. Tucker Carlson, you're a Russian agent. Alex Jones, you're a Russian agent. Devin Nunes, Chairman Nunes, you're a Russian agent. And it's like, it's ridiculous until you have a foaming group of Democrats come up. They all look like they're half dead and had lobotomies. They all look like they've escaped from a lunatic asylum, and it's scary that they've got this many brain-damaged people that actually think we're Russian agents, Roger.
It's kind of like Night of the Living Dead. It really is quite extraordinary. Look, it's neo-McCarthyism. It's degenerated name-calling, because they have to impugn your integrity and your patriotism because they have nothing else. They have no positive program to run on. The president's running on prosperity and job creation, turning this country around. 2 million new jobs in the year he's been elected president.
I want to say this. I mean, if Vladimir Putin was behind this, which, again, is completely absurd, wow, Putin's making America great again. I mean, it's absurd horse manure.
Unfortunately for them, of course, as we know, Vladimir Putin was for Hillary Clinton. Why else would he pay John Podesta $38 million through one of his oligarch banking buddies? Why else did he was he paying them to get control of American uranium?
Yeah, I wonder.
He had his way with the Clintons.
I wonder why Trump is ordering heavy weapons shipped to Ukraine and surrounding Russia with troops under Putin's orders, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that right there proves the entire nonsense that he tilts to the Russians. He has no illusions, but his real fundamental sin in the eyes of the globalists is he would not expand the proxy war in Syria. That's what this is really about. Hillary promised him a war. Don't worry.
But let's be honest. Letting Sessions run around trying to put pot smokers in prison is horrible. But that pales compared to being bullied into by the neocons that are in his office, thanks to Bannon, into encircling Russia, when Russia is our friend now more and more and has been helping us defeat radical Islam. And when Russia's full of resources. And Trump's instinct is to work with Russia, and so that's really Trump's only big failure.
Well, look, I think he's worried. He has no illusions about the corruption of the Soviet system, the old Soviet system, and he has no illusions about Putin being a good guy. But Alex, they have thermonuclear weapons. Always better to talk to people who can destroy you than to try to go to war with them, which is the collision course we were on in Syria. A no-fly zone in Syria, pushed by John McCain, backed by Hillary Clinton, was an engraved invitation for World War III.
Sure. In closing, you said, off-air, you said, they're really going to push Trump. Well, I mean, repeat what you said just in 60 seconds, that they're going to push Trump to, not damage and destabilize the country, back off, so this story goes away so that Mueller can indict him.
I think that they're going to try to talk him out of cleaning house. It's essential that he clean the house now. Rosenstein has got to go. As I wrote for Infowars 2 weeks ago, he should fire Rosenstein. Then he should order Jeff Sessions to appoint special counsel in the matter of Uranium-1. That investigation would entail Mueller, Comey, McCabe, and Rosenstein himself, who was the desk officer in that cover-up. Alex, this is the largest treasonous financial crime in American history.
Well, it's now being reported that FBI officials are saying that Rosenstein will be fired after the proof of the collusion. And if Ray wants to quit and fall on his sword, he needs to go ahead. There it is. Rosenstein will be fired after memo release using bogus Trump dossier for Fisa warrant. And again, it gets into it right there. We'll break that down after the break. And we have a former technical head of the NSA joining us coming up on the other side to give his take on all this. William Binney. Thank you, Roger Stone. Great job.
Many thanks, Alex. I'm just arriving at Cambridge now.
All right, perfect timing. Vaya con Dios. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just briefly, refuel. We are doing mid-air refueling here. We have a big nut to crack. I am full on. I'll do a live video walking around just showing all the crew in here. We've hired like 25 people the last 6 months. We're well up over 100 people here. And we're trying to hire new talk show hosts, more people to do more live broadcasts, and we're just putting in the studios the equipment. It is like an anthill here right now. I mean, this is 1776 part 2. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLive.com, a bunch of big specials, like 50% off Pollen Block, 53% off Cell Force, that really is DNA Force Plus, and so much more. $50 off on Alexa Pure Breeze. That's all about to end. Some of the biggest sales ever. InfoWarsStore.com. Stay with us. We'll be back as we continue to make history thanks to you.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
From the UN stronghold.
On Infowars.com right now. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live, broadcasting worldwide. I am your host, Alex Jones, and William Binney joins us, former technical head of the National Security Agency, and he headed up the technical operations of that agency. He's the source, of course, and the main technical advisor for the film Snowden, and A Good American, and so many other documentaries and films and books that are detailing that. And he pointed out when he was on with us last Tuesday that it had gotten no attention, that a source had pointed it out to him, that there was a 99-page memo report put out by the Fisa court that they had been approached 3 times to do things that they thought were unethical, and they had sent the Justice Department and FBI back before they granted those. We now know the blacked out areas, just as Mr. Benny said, are the president being targeted. And so you have them, that's what's in the new memo that the president now released via Congress today, that they lied to get the memos, they lied to get the FISA court thing 3 times, the warrants. Then they lied to Congress about what they did. Then they leaked and lied about it. And now you've got the entire FBI apparatus at the top, along with Rosenstein at the Justice Department and Orr and all of them, in an incredibly arrogant, incestuous conspiracy that their own texts show that they have committed. So it's amazing. And I was talking to Mr. Benny during the break, and he was blown away that almost no media picked it up last week when we pointed out that this FISA investigation is used as the blueprint to back up what the president has been saying and what the memo itself says is put out by Nunes. But enough of my breakdown of that. William Benny joins us to go over this with us right now. But again, there's the amazing cover sheet by the White House lawyer for the president saying we're ready to release more and to work with Congress to expose the full extent. This is just the beginning. So, Mr. Benny, you had said last Tuesday you hoped this was just the beginning, and that you had been told that this larger memo investigation by the FISA court was one of the prime areas tying in and a nexus point of a third party, the judicial branch, now documenting what the executive and the legislative have found.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And I think the more and more they go into it, they're going to find that NSA is involved in this, and that they need to look at which names of people were unmasked through the NSA and which ones were targeted through their collection system, and what data they were using internally in the FBI and how they were using that data. That's really where criminality comes in, where you use these agencies against the innocent or against U.S. citizens with no probable cause. That's a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment, and they shouldn't have been doing that anyway, and they know that. That's why they're trying to keep everything so secret.
There's so many angles to this, but just in general, where do you want to start as a true expert on looking at what historically is unfolding, the debate it's causing? I mean, if we thought Snowden and Drake and Benny, triggered so much of this in WikiLeaks, honorable people, now what point in history have we reached? I mean, this is really exposing the deep state.
Yes, it is. And it's like the first place I'd start is to go after the sworn affidavit that the FBI had to submit to the FISA court to get that warrant. That of course, according to the memo, seemed to focus on that dossier, the Steele dossier, and that was a false basis to begin with, and they knew that. And they didn't even talk about the DNC paying to have that done. So this is paid propaganda used to get a warrant in the FISA court to go after other people in another campaign. And then it means you have to go into the unmasking by the White House of people who were in the Trump campaign, find out who they were targeting and what data they were getting and how they were using it. This is really a mess. I mean, it gets into the total subversion and sedition, basically, and treason against this country.
And what's amazing is those are true words. That's not hyperbole. As I look at the unclassified memo here in front of me, William Benny, and I think about the arrogance and the hubris of trying something like this and thinking that you would have the Justice Department, the FBI, the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, all of them admittedly fingerprints on it, paying for it, and then sending it to the Justice Department and FBI when they're the ones that originally paid to have it created, and then going in before the court and perjuring yourself and not saying this is political, this was written by the DNC, this was paid to be made up as fake opposition research. For those that don't know about the law, even if prestigious lawyers or companies or groups want to have something, say in a Supreme Court case, that's called an amicus brief, they have to state who they are and then put their argument in, because all the facts of evidence have to have their provenance and their chain and have to be accepted in. But to use the signet of the Justice Department and the president, who that's what's going to come out next, by the way, we know that, Trump hasn't released it yet, that the president would order fake garbage put in and use that gravitas with the executive running into the judicial like that, This is an incredible constitutional crisis.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, this is not the first time that the FBI has gotten involved in lying to the Supreme Court or falsifying evidence for not the Supreme Court, but the FISA court to get warrants. Back in 2002, it was in August, I think it came out in the news that the FISA court had found out and discovered that the FBI had misrepresented facts in up to 75 warrants that they'd submitted into the court to get approval. So, I mean, it's not new. This is something the FISA court should already know and know that those procedures are really a hazard and a danger for them to be able to see through and stop. It's just a total corruption of our justice system to allow this to continue.
Well, that's my point, is that I understand if Trump doesn't want to look like he's guilty and then doesn't fire all these other people like Wray and Rosenstein, but law says he has to. He's the executive. They've been caught. He has to fire them all. Hell, they ought to all get SWAT teamed, right? I mean, you got SWAT team for secretly testifying to Congress totally legally about all this stuff.
That's right. And they falsified evidence in my case, too, and I caught them at it, except I couldn't afford to go after them, and I couldn't get anybody represent me pro bono, or other people were with me, like Kirk Wiebe and others. And Ed Loomis, we all went to the Rutherford Institute, and I said, they did violate your constitutional rights, but it's really going to be a long fight, and we couldn't afford to do that, and we couldn't get a lawyer to represent us pro bono, so we didn't pursue it. But they did the same thing here. This is simply a continuation. This is a very bad pattern of behavior by the FBI and the DOJ together.
I watch mainstream TV and they're hysterically lying about everything, but we're here covering the facts. And you're totally vindicated last week, pointing out that, hey, I'm told by sources, this is part of the big investigation. This is the memo that they're going to source connecting where they lied. And sure enough, they mentioned the FISA court and the points that are in this memo at the times they went to get 3 different warrants based on lies. So you have been absolutely vindicated as the person that pointed this out when it was hiding in plain view. And I know you're not about credit. It's just that George Soros publications came out and said that you and I were basically liars and that this had nothing to do with it. But you've been totally, completely vindicated.
Well, I would also say, Alex, that it's really a sad state that you and your program's the only one being talking about this FISA court ruling and all that. So, I mean, what's the mainstream media? Their job under the First Amendment is to inform the people of the country what their government is doing on their behalf, and they're supposed to be investigating it. And here they're abrogating that job. They're not doing it at all. So, we should take them out of the First Amendment. They don't belong there anymore. They're no longer useful in that area.
Well, and here you are, the former technical head of the NSA, super respected. Like platinum standard. Everybody admits that. Even liberals have to admit it. And you're saying, hey, this is really key. This is a big part of it. And they just totally disregard, and only a few articles saying, we're wrong. It's the wrong memo. No, we know it's not Nunes's memo, but it's what he sources, and is actually even more important when you get into the totality of it. The security agencies, though, have declassified it, but lower level and mid-level, they've asked attention not be drawn onto this. This is the court saying they came into us and were trying to break the law, which actually makes you think, wow, these courts aren't as bad as I thought compared to these agencies. We'll be back with William Binney straight ahead. Stay with us. Trying to drain the swamp. Incredible discussions during the breaks with Dr. William Binney, former technical director of the National Security Agency. And we were talking about draining the swamp. We were talking about the arrogance of these people. We were talking about where the fight goes on from here. Does this really harm U.S. intel? We're going to get into it all right now with William Binney, with the release of the devastating congressional FISA breakdown memo, looking at how they lied to go to court and get these search warrants, true perjury, true crimes, then lied to Congress about it. I don't think the president has any choice. He's got to move. But Mr. Binney, if you could just repeat in your own words the powerful things you were saying during the break about the arrogance, but also the arrogance is only matched by Trump's courage. We have to say it. In the last 100 years, I've not even read about, or even in other countries, something like this. Trump going up against this entrenched state when he could have rolled over to them. This is your own words about this, please.
Well, like we were discussing, I just see this as a crack, a little small opening that's coming now where we're going to be able to see into all the criminality and corruption and simply money laundering and bribery and all that stuff behind the swamp and the secret government that's involved here. I mean, what we're talking about is President Trump having the courage to stand up and start addressing the intelligence community and the power they've been using, like they are J. Edgar Hoover on super steroids, having knowledge and leverage on everyone and using it. And so I see this as seeing the president as having the courage to stand up and start cleaning the swamp. And this is like core to that swamp. Once you start breaking this up, then the rest of it should fall fairly quickly.
And that's what he says in the cover letter, a page and a half. They say, we've got a lot more. We're ready to work with Congress to bring it out because this deals with our national security. And this is our national security. Breakaway rogue groups with a $1 trillion spy machine beyond the Manhattan Project playing God, trying to convert us to a high-tech banana republic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if you allow this thing to go on and don't correct the intelligence process and the intelligence agencies, you can keep repeating things like weapons of mass destruction. We'll go kill a couple 100,000 people, or a Gulf of Tonkin affair that didn't happen, and we'll go kill a couple million people. Or you can destabilize the Middle East. You can do all kinds of things that are simply wrong, unfounded, unsubstantiated, and just not moral or anything else. I mean, this is just crazy. We have to clean this up. He's got to do that. And he seems quite willing to do that. And I would be there cheering him on and supporting him any way I could.
Well, we know you've been advising him through CIA Director Pompeo. And what you just said was so profound, I got chills. Because Gulf of Tonkin killed a couple million Vietnamese on both sides, killed 58,000 U.S., hundreds of thousands horribly maimed, millions others just totally psychologically shot. That was all based on a lie. And we have the recordings of McNamara and the rest of it from the White House where they fixed the intelligence and made that up. And then you've got things that took us to war, this Office of Special Plans inside the Pentagon, because they couldn't get the regular Pentagon people to lie. So they created a special office. Now it's just a dossier in England made up ridiculous like a comic book. And then they're not just starting a war with some foreign country. That's bad enough. It's against a sitting elected president. I mean, it shows it's really a false flag. It shows how this whole false flag blames the Russians, but the target's the American people and the American recovery. And it just, as you said, it just escalates the hubris. Can you repeat what you said during the break about their hubris?
Well, they are so arrogant that they think they've got so much power and control over everything that they feel they're just above the law. And they can do anything they want. They can lie to Congress out in the open and there are no consequences. They can lie to the president or anybody else and there are no consequences because they feel they've got all this knowledge and power over everyone. So they're just above everything. They are the know-it-all and we have to all follow them. And we'll follow them into these wars and things like that. And the only people who suffer are we poor people down at the bottom of the pyramid, They make the decisions and we suffer.
Wow. And now it's starting to turn around a little bit, and they're panicking and they're arrogant. But it is a new superclass, imagine, where they can spy on the Republican nominees, spy on the president-elect, arrogantly the day before he was sworn in saying, we got 7 ways to Sunday to get you. We're going to remove you. Brennan said you ought to watch your mouth and then was shocked when Trump fired him 3 days later. The day before the president sworn in, you better watch your mouth. I mean, that is like lunatic asylum arrogance.
But it's the arrogance of these people. That's the way they feel. They are the ones who have the real power. That's their position.
You don't brag about yourself. I know you received a lot of secret awards and basically were the equivalent of a multi-star officer heading up the NSA. But your credit as being the top codebreaker ever in the NSA's history at helping bring down the Soviet Union, so many other things. Did your amazing real power and ongoing when you left the NSA to expose all this, in 2000, did that make you feel more humble the more power you got or more powerful? Because in my experience, as I get more powerful, I feel more humble and actually scared about it because I know I'm fallible and have issues, even though I want to be a good person. But I know people in my life that are like managers at restaurants who are these prima donna crazy people. A little bit of power, they go nuts.
Yeah, it kind of puts you in a position of realizing the responsibility you have to whatever you say and make sure that what you do say is true and can be validated and verified, or at least checked, and you stand up for it. And you have to do the best you can to make sure you're only being honest with everybody as best you can. That's all. And the more influence you get, the more responsibility it is to make sure that's true.
Going back to 2000, when you're secretly testifying to Congress with others about all the illegal stuff that was starting up in 2001, could you, though, have imagined how this would happen? And now WikiLeaks and Trump, and I mean, I don't see long-term how this corrupt superclass stays in place when what they're doing is so discriminatory against 99.9% of us. You know, they try to make blacks and whites fight and all this other men and women, but the truth is we have a breakaway super state technocracy that thinks it's God.
That's basically the problem. Yeah, we have to remind them very, very clearly, and we have to look back. We have to look back and go after these people and hold them accountable, because if we don't, what that means is other people coming into those positions will be corrupted by that power too and say, well, look what they did, I'll do that too. That's why I blame what's going on now a lot on Jerry Ford for pardoning Nixon. He was being indicted for what he did on a much smaller scale. It's the same that they're doing today, but it was a much smaller scale.
Breaking into a psychiatrist's office and having a list of 105 people that he wanted to be audited. I mean, Obama had it done to tens of thousands. Exactly. The scale is just microscopic.
Yeah, and Nixon was impeached and then indicted for that. But Jerry Ford pardoned him. That took away the accountability for the president. That said, the president really has a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's the next president. Wow.
I want to just point out, folks, that we sell the film. He's not even paid for doing it, but he's in it. He should be. He's done a great job. Mr. Benny has obviously film like Snowden that he advised on. That was amazing. But also a goodamerican.org. You can find the DVD there. We sell at InfoWarsStore.com. PG knowledge.eu is a plan to have these systems that are ethical and don't give individuals power over others, but actually targets real criminal threats and real criminal operations once those tracking and nexus points have been proven, and then it comes out of the algorithm of the program. You can talk about that a little bit more in the next segment, so find out about that at exposedfacts.org. We'll come back to Mr. Benny, and I agree with him. I don't feel worthy to even be at this platform level with somebody like him and so many others breaking so much of this, but it's that a little radio show out of Texas grew into this because other people won't do it. They say necessity is the mother of invention. And that's what it is. They won't do their job, so it's Alex Jones doing it. And it's the listeners then funding us to build organically the platform to get this out to millions of people because they wouldn't do it. They just took what they were told, said it by the government and corporations as a bunch of yes men and women and got us in this position. So, I go back to the listeners and the heroes like William Benny. He doesn't want to be called that, but he is. He went through a lot. And a lot of other stuff that I know is off the record he probably doesn't want to get into. He's a manly guy and everything, but they pull the stops out, I can tell you. And so this is a real war. We need your financial support as well. We just sell the very best vitamins and minerals like our turmeric. It's 400 plus milligrams, the strongest, 95% curcumin. And other stuff tested at Whole Foods is like 3%. It's a joke because they put everything in marketing, mark it up 7 times, and a $30 bottle of something has like $1 of product. Well, not with us. I mean, if it's something $60, it's got $30 in it. We mark it up 100%. We got Cellforce right now with BioPQQ, CoQ10. Other formulas similar, $200, $300, $400. It's a good deal normally at $100. It's $69.95 right now. InfoWarsStore.com. It's about to sell out. It'll be called DNA Force Plus next time we run it, though. People like that name better. But Cellforce is just DNA Force Plus. It's available, and a lot of other specials are about to end. InfoWarsStore.com. You built this operation. We praise you all. One final segment with Mr. Benny straight ahead. All right, William Benny's with us for 5 more minutes, and each interview we do just gets more powerful. I don't know what you call the last 30 minutes. I mean, the memo's out. I'll cover that more in the next segment. It's an exact blueprint and sources the document that Benny brought up last week that no one had covered. And, if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound. If nobody's there, did it make a sound? Yeah, that had been out from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. No one was pointing it out. Benny did. And the media just went, oh, that's already been out, but no one covered it and you won't cover it. It's now the source of much of what's in the Nunes memo. Don't you feel stupid? So, Mr. Benny, in the 4.5 minutes we have left, I've been asking a lot of questions here, but one point you wanted to make during the break we were talking was this lie, this is hurting the U.S. or hurting intelligence agencies or giving out methods. I'm not an expert like you, but I read the memo. There's nothing there but a bunch of Democrat operatives lying to get fake warrants.
Yeah, it's what they're doing is they're trying to use national security issues as a way of covering up for the embarrassments to people or the crimes that people are committing. And I would also point out that there really wasn't any need to have the president declassify that under Executive Order 13526, Section 1.7, which governs all the classification of documents in the U.S. government. They are required they cannot classify, maintain classified, or not declassify any documents that contain information about criminal activity or embarrassment or corruption or fraud or waste. They cannot use that classification to cover that. So, in other words, any evidence that they have of criminal activity must be declassified by their own regulations.
And Trump's following that. He says national security has been violated. We have evidence of criminal activity. It is my duty to give this to the House. They have found as I have found, and I'm ready to give more information to the committee. That has got to make the globalists and these corrupt networks crap their pants.
It would, because they've been so criminal. I mean, they have been doing this against basically the entire population of the United States and the world since 2001. They've been doing this, and they've been using it in court of law and perjuring themselves to convict people, and thousands of people are in jail because of this program. So, they have a lot to account for.
I would be ashamed spying on my wife or people if I had these systems. I would be. There's just no honor. And I guess they're trying to recruit people that don't have honor. And then the good guys, I'm told, get kept low level. And then the bad people just get put at the top until you get people like Hayden and Clapper and Brennan, before Congress saying, we've never spied on one American. It's unbelievable.
Well, what they meant was we haven't spied on we have not spied on just one American. We've spied on them all. That's what it is. And they're so arrogant, they don't care what they say. They can lie to anybody or say anything they want to, and they don't think there's any consequence. This is why we have to look back. This is why we have to address these issues with those people and hold them accountable for what they did.
Well, I think we've come a long way. We've got a long way to go, but they say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. I think we've gone about 100 miles into 1,000 miles, and we're committed. We're going down the road. I think we're gaining speed. I think a lot of positive stuff's happening. Do you agree with that, A? And then B, in closing, how does the deep state strike back, though? Because you were saying during the break, the FBI is kind of the scapegoat here. You're saying the NSA is behind it.
Yeah, actually, I think we have a lot more to go than 1,000 miles. But I think this is the break, and I think this break now is opening up the real rottenness in our government in Washington and in the agencies that make it up. And so this is where we really have to get to it, and it goes beyond, like, the FBI is the front. They take the flack from everybody because they figure they'll still survive because we need the FBI. But behind them are the supporting agencies like NSA and CIA and others who are actually helping them do and achieve what they want to do as a collective group of, that I call them the Praetorian Guard, who will determine what our government does. And so that's why they think they have so much power. Now we have to shine the light on them and show them out for what they've been doing, and hold those people who did it in those agencies accountable, and make sure we carry through all the law and apply all the law equally to all of them.
So Trump has to fire these people?
I think so.
All right, William Benny, thank you so much. Powerful information. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be right back. Hey. January 2nd, 2018. I got to tell you, that last 30 minutes already is just unbelievable. I mean, this is history happening. We really are the good guys. We really are turning the country around. We really are standing up against globalism and the poison of its anti-family transhumanist agenda. The telecoms, the big internet companies have already told Trump they're going to stop censoring, but they haven't quit, so he's going to start breaking them up next. And then Comey comes out, who's going to be teaching ethics. What a joke when he leaked stuff to the media and lied about it to Congress, was involved in this conspiracy. He's come out and made all these sickening statements. He says, that's it? Dishonest, misleading memo? Wrecked the House Intel Committee, destroyed trust of the intelligence community, damaged relationship with FISA court, and inexcusably exposed classified information of an American citizen. For what? DOJ and FBI must keep doing their jobs, which means stay behind networks. Doesn't matter, we're all caught in memos and documents and emails and text messages admitting there's no Russian collusion and we got to have an insurance policy and keep Trump out and on and on and on. Comey, arrogant, maybe acromegaly or whatever causes you to have brain problems. They say it starts cutting into your brainstem. I mean, maybe something's going on with him. I feel sorry for his acromegaly, but other than that, he's still a person and a bad guy. At 8 feet tall or whatever it is. I guess they made him the director to like scare people when he like toddles in and hardly walk. It's kind of sad. The guy's bigger than Andre the Giant. I mean, he's a freak of political evil, not because of his acromegaly, but because of his arrogance. We now know from the FISA document. You know, it hurt me last week when not the mainstream media, but even some of the liberty-based media said, oh, Jones just wanted to get a cheap shot in and said that he'd release the secret FISA memo. When we said, here's the secret FISA memo declassified, there's 10% of it or so, I haven't added it all up, that's blacked out, but this is the illegal spying, and they say they were asked to illegally spy, and they block out who it was against and by who, but the word is, this is Nunes's memo. Nunes is going to use this as the roadmap to prove that they did it politically and didn't admit it was political and didn't admit it had been funded by the Democratic Party, which is a big, big deal. It's perjury. And it hurt me that even though William Binney came on, and even though that was happening, that the media spun it, that I said this was the Nunes memo, which is called the secret FISA memo, talking about the crimes. They had to give Nunes's memo a name. And the heart of it is the FISA testimony, and FISA putting a report out to the president April 26, 2017. He'd only been in a couple months, and they're like, sir, this is highly classified. This is what they did to you. He wanted a report. He asked for a report. The FISA court gave him a report and said there's 3 instances where they lied to us to get these warrants on you, Mr. President. And then the names of who they were surveilling and then who asked for the surveillance is blacked out. But this is it. No coverage other than Media Matters and then a few of the other publications that parrot their BS, George Soros BS, saying Jones tried to hoax his audience. When I'm not going to get into behind-the-scenes stuff, but Binney was specifically contacted. And, hey, we see you're on Jones's show. No one's covered this. This is part of the memo. This is the Rosetta Stone. This is what you want to look at. That was a few hours before Binney was on. He said, hey, I haven't read it all, but yeah, it's 3 instances of illegally doing it, blah, blah, blah. You had the former head of the NSA that knows all about that court telling you what was key. But what does he know? He's just a valiant whistleblower. Screw him. Alex Jones tries and fails to pass off publicly available document as White House GOP secret Russia memo. No, I said, here's all of it that's not still classified, and it's bombshell, and no one had covered it except for Rob DoJ and Michael Zimmerman a couple weeks before, because it had been up there for a while, and the White House wondered why no one saw it. Because they ordered the Director of National Intelligence to release almost all of it, except who asked for it and who was being targeted. And Zimmerman's like, no, it is part of it, Alex. We did cover it weeks ago. And I'm like, great. I'm so proud of us that we're the only outlet that we know of that covered it. And I didn't even know we'd covered it because I missed that War Room episode. I think, where was Owen Schroyer then? He was out of town. So it was Zimmerman and DoJ did the show. So it doesn't matter. You know, it's kind of like saying, How dare someone release this to WikiLeaks instead of what's in the WikiLeaks, all the crime? I mean, it's right here. It's the whole thing. 3 times they came to us and lied, and we thought it was illegal, so we told them go back and get other orders, and then Obama told us to do it, so we did it. And now we've got the actual House memo, and most of the evidence in it directly talks about the FISA court, word for word, and how they did it and how they went to the FISA court and lied to them. See, here's the thing. When I'm wrong about something, I'll admit it. But I'm not wrong but like 3 or 4% of the time. And then it's when I get dates upside down or, you know, get confused or say things wrong or call McCabe, the director of the FBI, instead of the deputy director. I mean, I know he's the deputy director. I know it's Ray. I don't have teleprompters, so I scramble stuff. So I'll be listening to the show sometimes and go, no, that's a mistake right there. 5 minutes later, that's a mistake. But it's not substantive like the boiling temperature of water or, you know, the color of the sky at high noon. It's just getting little factoids backwards. It's kind of like I have informational dyslexia. But overall, we're dead on because we do the research and we're trying to tell the truth. So when I make a mistake, I'll run up and down the hallways telling you because I want you to know, hey, I didn't do that on purpose. But here it is. Enough about that. We've got Doug Hagmann of the Hagmann & Hagmann, always amazing sources coming up. He has a lot of good FBI sources that are more mid-level. And then he's got state police that are at the highest levels. And he doesn't mind us saying that, but because I know some of the same sources. I was in New York a couple years ago and had, I'm not going to get it, a high-level individual at a parade walk over in uniform. And I was like, wow, that's the head of a major body. We're big listeners, love the show. Doug Hagmann's a great guy. You know, we're buddies going back to college. And I'm just like, okay. That's kind of how you know Doug Hagmann's really got those sources when, you know, head of a police agency comes over to tell you about Doug Hagmann. So Doug Hagmann's coming up, and he can kind of get us the scuttlebutt in New Jersey and New York from the FBI and the state police. So he's got those sources, and he's got some judicial sources as well. But this is just such a crazy time to be alive right now. And anything could happen minute to minute. I'm not watching Netflix at night. I'm not even going to movies hardly. I'm not, because I always had a little bit of entertainment in my life. This is so entertaining because it's so real and so dangerous, and I'm in it, and you're in it, and we got a bunch of jerks trying to block the recovery of the country. And just basic America getting control of the country again. Donald Trump's not a conservative. He's a pragmatist, libertarian, free market guy. He's a throwback. People go, oh, we want to move forward. America is the vanguard of free market and ideas. Even though we were a mix of bad things, we were the place that had that idea. That was something we were trying. So we were known for that. And so we're back to the future. Trump is the future because Trump grew up not wanting to screw people over. I mean, if you like to go gamble and be a fool and do whatever, he'll let you do that all day too. He's certainly not an angel cake. It's just Trump doesn't like seeing poor people and unhappy people. He likes seeing hardworking, successful people. And that's why the globalists hate him, because they want a bunch of demoralized losers they can control. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. And I was thinking during the break, what is the most important thing happening right now at this explosively critical point in human history? Now, I was really thinking about it, and it's this. The corporate media, the collaborator media that works with the multinational corporations that have pretty much conquered this nation are having their power removed, their monopolistic control. They're still keeping all their stolen wealth. And they're so arrogant and they're so angry, they're putting out the lie, McCain, Comey, Schiff, that this is a nothing burger. This is nothing. This is no big deal. Oh, my gosh. But it does damage our security and let the terrorists attack us. And it's the worst thing ever and the end of our democracy. And Trump's a dictator, blah, blah, blah. Even though federal law, as William Benny just stated, shows that if crimes are committed in the FISA court or in that process, law says it must be declassified. But let's stop right there. The average person will read the nuanced letter by the White House chief lawyer and Chairman Devin Nunes' letter. The trained eye will read it and see something different than what the public sees, but it's all in plain view. Because at this level of fine art, in its vernacular, in its parlance, it is to be done very gently as you slip the knife in between the two vertebrae and the neck. It's done elegantly, not brutishly. And I read this several times now, and it's the letter from the president on the front page that tells you everything. It says, I became aware when I was president through the classified information of your full operations. After all, it's you guys that put this giant spy grid in. You ought to know I have full access to everything. And I contacted the House committee, as I'm supposed to by law, and they got the information. And they concur that there was a criminal operation to overturn my election and fraud and lies, getting the warrants and all the rest of it, which we have the FISA court coming to us in April of last year in a 99-page report and telling us we've been informed by the court. Their prime informant, both in lineage and in importance, the progenitor, is the judiciary alerting the president 2 months after he was in office, January, February, March, April, 3 months, 4 months, in a 99-page report of what happened. Then the classified parts are sent to the House Intelligence Committee. Schiff works around the clock in federal court proceedings to block congressional moves and others to get the Fusion GPS documents that were concocted by the Justice Department, FBI, and the Democratic Party funded Fusion GPS. And then all of the, oh my God, we need the insurance policy. Oh, we can't let him get in. Oh, now that he's getting in, we got to take him out. We got to remove him. All that's already come out. That's all in the text messages. They don't deny it. Schiff denied it 3 weeks ago. Okay, it's all real, but it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. That's their spin now. As if you don't have common sense. It's the end of the world, total martial law, Trump's a dictator, but it's no big deal, and this doesn't show anything. So the big issue here is that they're going to say this is nothing. When the president says, I don't want to release all this information, and I don't want to hurt these agencies, but you're trying to hurt the country and hurt me, and you've lied. And I'm not going to sit here while your main operative that Hillary Clinton ran, Mueller, plays this game, okay? I'm not just going to let you march my son and everybody else off to prison so a bunch of libtards can celebrate it and kill the country's recovery. You people are out of control. Stop. If anything, it's very judicious. It's very measured. There's a signpost, this way destruction. And Trump's sitting there going, I've been down the road. You don't want to go. You're very close now. Smell the stink of dead political flesh? But you look at that jack-o'-lantern face of Hillary or that nutball freak Comey or any of those lunatic narcissist fruit heads aren't going to stop. So now you've got Russia probe lawyers. Oh, Trump might get indicted. See, before they said, oh, Mr. President, it can never happen. Now his lawyers are, oh, it is coming, Mr. President, because they were always planning this, getting up close to 2018. So here's the big issue. This is a giant memo. The cover sheet alone is bigger than the memo because we already knew all this that's in the memo. It just says, hey, the president initiated this. We've got more. That's the big news. We got a lot more. We're ready to release. That's A. A is the president initiated this under the law, and we've got more information. And then B, you guys committed a whole bunch of perjury and a whole bunch of crimes in this thing, and we're ready to fight you. And that's it. We've got the intel. You know we've got the intel. We got a lot more we're ready to release. You committed a bunch of crimes. We're ready to go after you even more. Just get out of the way and let the country recover. And we're not going to euthanize the veterans. And Hillary and the Democrats at MSNBC and CNN are going, hell no. So, more comes up. You don't run up the white flag, more comes up. And Soros is already having his assets all over the world tied to human smuggling. I mean, he's been caught shipping in hundreds of thousands out of North Africa alone on those Zodiac rubber boats. That's in the news. The Italian Navy just stopped him 2 weeks ago. Think the Italians got a call from somebody? Called NATO? Called Trump? Because the United States is NATO. See, first Trump threatened to cut NATO's funding off to get them under control. Now we're in control again of NATO, not Soros and the EU. And now we're telling Soros, we're taking you down. You know, there's the headline. George Soros linked to funding human trafficking and terrorism. And guess what? Ooh, some stuff's happening to Soros right now. You want to move against Soros? Oh, what's going on? So there is the compendium of Trump. I know I'm the president. I've got you dead to rights. I contacted the House. They concur. I'm ready to give them more information. I'm ready to move. And I'm coming out against you, and you've committed incredible crimes. Their response is Schiff says, I look like a psychotic serial killer with little weird bug eyes, and I'm on a power trip, and I'm going to get you. I'm not going to stop. We're like, okay. Then get ready. Rack them up, Huckleberry. It's all what you asked for. You're in charge of where you're going. Because Trump knows metaphysically he's got to be the good guy. He's got to be taking the high road. He's got to be the one that's defending. So he just keeps giving them chance after chance after chance, and they don't see they're slipping beneath the quicksand. Man, a guy that's broken so much the big news here is going to be hosting the 4th hour, along with a lot of new clips as the president speaks and other things develop. And we're going to him here in just a few minutes, though. And I do intend this Sunday when I'm back 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to take phone calls, your response to the memo, all of it. But for me, again, the big takeaway with this whole situation is that the president's saying, I'm ready to release more. We're standing up. We're fighting you. This is criminal. We're exposing what you did. We're calling you out. We're not just going to sit here and lay down and take it. And you perjured yourselves 3 times to get these warrants. And then you targeted people politically. So that's coming up. Also want to play a clip of the president's response earlier, talking about how they should be ashamed of themselves. And the media spins it and says the whole FBI or the whole government. They're the ones saying that. It's Clinton criminal groups like a hijacker of a plane. The average rank and file folks at the FBI are really awake. And I only discovered that in the last decade when I ran into folks and got documents from the FBI and federal marshals and others. I've just found the FBI at the grassroots level to be very, very helpful in anti-New World Order. That's what William Binney's a big patriot, former head of the NSA. He said, listen, I found the FBI as the scapegoat for all the deep state agencies that use it to hide behind, and then they run around like errand boys. Now, I'm not sitting here defending the FBI and the actions of its history and what it's done, but do you ever hear about the 17 agencies other than maybe the CIA? Or no, you don't. Yeah. It's all FBI when something secret comes out on my show that's ordered by the Army to go grab some witness, and call them into the Army. I mean, the FBI are like errand boys, so they become kind of the scapegoat. Even for the Democrats that are inside, when they get caught committing crimes, they then go, oh, don't attack the FBI. We're the FBI. No, you're not. It's like in Scarface, which is based on a cosmology of true stories. Because the guy that wrote that was, of course, the same guy that made Snowden and all the rest of it. But Oliver Stone, Tony Montana's sitting there with the corrupt cop that's trying to get him assassinated. And he says, get ready, I'm going to kill you. And he goes, you can't kill me, I'm a cop. And he goes, whoever said you was one. And that's what we're coming down to here. Comey's not an FBI agent. Mueller's not an FBI agent. McCabe's not an FBI agent. They're deep state Clinton operatives. Good God, Hillary gave his wife $500,000 cash she kept a couple years ago. I mean, think of what we don't know about, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go to Doug Hagmann here in just a moment. Believe me, the deep state's going to strike back, but we're starting to turn the corner in many ways, but the war's still on. So we need your prayers, your support. I'm praying for you. Thank you all for what you do. Infowarsstore.com. Please support our local AM and FM affiliates as well. Become a sponsor, support their sponsors, or send the local station a monthly tithe of $20, $100. It's an information war. They're trying to bankrupt talk radio. They're trying to shut us down. But you've stood in their face, those headwinds, and I salute you and thank you. Go, help out Doug Hagmann, and he's reaching millions of people a week. Just there's all these great patriots, and there's safety in numbers, so I salute everybody. Now, We're going to get his breaking intel on this memo, what it really means in about 2 minutes. But first, I wanted to play the president earlier today, right when we started the broadcast. He made this statement when he was about to meet with North Korean defectors who'd left that dictatorship, and how horrified they were and how scared to even be, still of Kim Jong-un. But first, he made this statement about the release of this congressional memo detailing the roadmap of criminality. Here it is.
I think it's terrible. You want to know the truth? I think it's a disgrace. What's going on in this country, I think it's a disgrace. The memo was sent to Congress. It was declassified. Congress will do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that and you see that and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that. So I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed. Thank you very much.
Are you not concerned that the FBI doesn't want the memo out?
Thank you very much.
All right, let's stop there. Again, I cannot quantify how historical this is. Trump is teaching us how to fight again. He is taking out the hijacked networks inside the government that have taken over these agencies and groups. He is removing the poison, in my view. I want to get Doug Hagmann's brief take before he takes over in a moment on, am I right in my assessment? And I know he always has amazing intel. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Hagmann of HagmannReport.com. Tell us what you know.
I'll tell you what, I've been glued to your broadcast the entire day. A historic day. You are absolutely correct. This is the biggest scandal, the biggest crime that we have seen, at least in my lifetime. I mean, this dwarfs Watergate. The superlatives. This cannot be understated. The importance thereof cannot be understated. The bottom line here is this: the exposure of the coup, the attempted coup, by the weaponized Department of Justice, by the weaponized FBI, known by certain rank and file members of the FBI who are actually white hats exposing this as well. Bottom line, they went after Donald Trump. They're going after the American people. This is an ongoing issue. And also the bottom line is this. People think that this memo, the 3.25 page memo, is in fact the end. This is just the beginning. And it's going to get much worse. The exposure of the deep state operatives, the shadow government, the people, the swamp creatures, this is going to get much worse. And there will be, I'll tell you what, people will go, and this is what I'm hearing, there will be charges laid against certain individuals within the Department of Justice, current and former, because of this information and information that supports this document. And the names, of course, within the document, as well as those implied, whether it be Bruce Orr or Peter Strzok, they're worried, and they should be. And the last thing, and I just really want to drive this point home, Alex, this is a scandal, crime, more appropriate, that goes directly to the office or to the White House, to the Obama White House. Obama knew totally. He knew about this. In fact, he facilitated exactly what we read in this 3.5 page memo. He facilitated this. He was a part of it. The presidential daily briefings contained information. And if people knew, this is what I'm getting, if people knew the contents of the presidential daily briefings, they would be absolutely astounded at the level of complicity by Barack Hussein Obama.
You just said it, and that's what I was told by Congress, folks, because they've got those now. The president has them. We'll talk about that. Live, I'm Alex Jones, your host. Doug Hagmann, an amazing source, his own broadcaster, long career in law enforcement, a lot of activities on the East Coast. Joins us, HagmannReport.com is his excellent website. Amazing information that he's broken so many times here. But if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten pieces of this foreshadowed by the House Intelligence Committee, by senators as well, that have seen the larger body of the intelligence. This was a very light shot across the bow. The fact that they're willing to fight back and the fact that they say they have more, that's the big shot across the bow that they're waiting to use, but it's very, very limited. But what Hagmann just said, we saw members of Congress, some of which have joined us, saying, oh, this will embarrass Obama. This will embarrass the president and take the shine off him. And that's exactly what we've already seen in the campaign, at the nomination, when he was then running against Hillary as the nominee, and then when he was president-elect. Right before the nomination, they start surveillance. When he's running against Hillary, they open up another warrant to spy on even more people. With one warrant, they can spy on millions in dragnets. That's admitted. So they keep going, oh, big deal, we spied on this Carter, this person down here or whatever. It's a larger dragnet. And then once he's president-elect, they had a couple months, November 8th until January 20th, and they went really crazy then, but couldn't find anything. So now they had to cover it all up. So for me, the big issue here, and the thing that's hiding in plain view, is that Obama, with the Justice Department, working with the Democratic Party, we now know was honchoing this, and I have been told by sources that that's the ace card that Trump holds, one of many cards, but it's the ace of spades, is that the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, 44, call it a royal flush if you want, was getting daily briefings during the last weeks of the campaign and right through on directed White House programs, because we know the people under him had to unmask the Trump folks and were following. They were in the White House surveilling Trump and his family and myself and Roger Stone. That's admitted. But that the president was getting briefings purely political off that investigation, off what Trump was doing, what he was saying, what he was planning. It's not enough that CNN, we now know in WikiLeaks, was giving the debate questions to Donna Brazile weeks before, so Hillary had them, or all three moderators ganged up on all the shows, including Fox. All the rigging, like Gladiator, where he's fighting the five tigers and the champion from Gaul. I mean, it's that rigged, and still he won. Still we won. Still, because we woke up, we overpowered them. And that's what Hagmann was just getting to. He's taking over in the next hour. But, Doug, that is bombshell, because that's what we know they were doing in the White House. But that's what I'm hearing is coming out next, is they've got, because executive privilege won't work president to president if it's illegal. The word is Trump has witnesses and people ready to go forward that they were using the White House as a command base with the NSA trying to stop Trump from getting in office. This is 50,000 times worse than Richard Milhouse Nixon. Is that what you're saying from your sources?
100% precisely. And one can go back to November 17th of 2016, when Admiral Mike Rogers, head of the NSA, broke ranks, made an unscheduled visit to Trump Tower. You've covered this. Met with Donald Trump. And in that meeting, we don't know, of course, what he said, but certainly the effects of what he said were clear, because the next day, Donald Trump moved from Trump Tower, again, as president-elect, to the golf course in Bedminster, New Jersey, because of what Mike Rogers said. And basically what Rogers said, and I'm speculating here, is the fact that, hey brother,
and again, he didn't give a heads up. He went there to report the treason.
That's right. And then right after that, of course, you saw Clapper and others calling for Rogers to be fired because of the breaking ranks. But all the roads lead right back to Obama, and as well as the parallel roads lead back to Clinton, because with Hillary Clinton as well. I just have to mention this: Hillary Clinton, using a private server, set up Barack Hussein Obama in the White House, communicated from Russian soil on a private server to Hillary Clinton while she was in Russia, thereby enjoining him in this conspiracy where he was powerless, essentially, to sign off on any prosecution of Hillary Clinton in the server issue, the private email issue. The reason I bring this up is because all of these are components of a larger, more widespread series of criminal activity that we are now seeing, that this 3.5-page memo or 3.25-page memo is alluding to in some respects. The surveillance. And by the way, the entire thing, this was a setup. This was a sting operation against Donald Trump, and people need to understand that. This was a surveillance operation against a person without a predicate.
And then they're on record sending in Democratic Party operatives like this Natalia lady from Soros, saying it's about adoption stuff, and then changing the subject when it's admitted that it's their operative, and that blew up in their face because Trump is so straight-laced.
Yeah, and you've got Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS testifying before the House and Senate, denying that he knows, for example, Natalia Veselnitskaya. Yet he met with her the day before and the day after that Donald Trump meeting where the information was supposed to be disclosed to Donald Trump Jr. This is insane, but this lays bare, in my view, the absolute. I can't even find the right words for this except to say this is a sting operation against Donald Trump. This is an attempted coup, an attempted political assassination by the highest levels in the FBI and the DOJ. And look, I'm all for law and order. I'm all for the DOJ. I was an operational asset for the FBI in the 90s. But I got to tell you something. Never would any FBI agent I know would ever put up with this, or anyone from the Department of Justice. This was a sting operation designed to politically assassinate Donald Trump, and it almost worked.
I was about to say, the recklessness of it is just frightening. I mean, this isn't like lying on intelligence to launch some new war. That's bad enough. You're trying to overthrow an election of people that really want to return the country, claiming they're Russian agents, when you're up to your eyeballs with Chinese and Russian collusion yourself. Here's the thing. This isn't business as usual. Trump, as he knows, cannot allow them to continue on. I get if he fires a bunch of them right now. They go, oh, look, you're doing that because you're desperate. No, it's his duty now as the executive to fire Rosenstein, who we know is now running all this. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's really insane.
Oh, insane to the max. But I think now you're going to see over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, I think you're going to see people obviously lawyering up, seeking legal counsel. You're going to see some resignations probably next week. You're going to see some people escorted from their offices. Just like
McCabe this week.
Yes. But this will be even more broad, because from this 3.25 page memo, they know, meaning the deep state, they know they've got a lot more, the foundational documentation for this memo. And you went over that, which was a brilliant, that 99-page Fisa audit that you went over with Mr. Binney last week. Just take a look at that. And
that's got the 3 cases that were masked, that's blacked out, that when they said this is illegal. Fisa was telling the president, sir, in April, this is illegal, and gave him the report. And I know the White House wanted that on the air, and the media just covered it up.
Yep, of course. The media is complicit in this, and when you look at the level of complicity by the media, and by the way, the Fusion GPS documents, and I know that this is kind of being shotgun around here a little bit, but when you look at what's being requested from Fusion GPS and what it was turned over, we saw the credit side of the bank records from Fusion GPS, but what we didn't see yet is the debit side, who they paid in the media to propagate the Russian collusion story. When that hits, and when that gets out in the open, there are a lot of people who are going to say, "Oh man."
Well, that's the word. Congress has leaked that reportedly $2 million through the FBI and Justice Department went to family members that were at GPS or his wife. They tried to deny it, but the word is they've committed perjury. The word is that they have the documents. Is that what you've been told?
Absolutely, they've got the documents. In fact, the Office of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, has additional documents. You go back to the texts that were lost, never lost. They've had them. That was something totally different.
Oh, let me ask you about that when we come back. I'll host a little bit with you the next hour and let you take over. Man, you're on fire. I mean, Doug Hagmann. That microphone sounds even better than mine. I'm a little bit jealous. That studio is. Doug Hagmann. It's good to see competent badasses, isn't it? Makes you feel like you're not alone. Stay with us. Because I know, I research what's going on. And then I look at my guests like Hagmann or what I'm doing or our sources. I mean, I think about the sources I've got sometimes, and I don't even deserve this. It's kind of like William Benny said. He goes, it's a shame, Alex, you're one of the only shows that'll put this out. You know, this should be on bigger. And it's like, I don't think that's an insult. It's true. That guy should be on Nightline. You know, that guy should be on Meet the Press. But you know, it's incredible. The fact that we're in the middle of a second American Revolution, the economy's coming back because we were artificially suppressed. You've got a crazy deep state on the Chinese communist payroll, man. They're like puppets. And we are just in the middle of this. And then I see a third of the population smoking the New World Order dope that literally think we're Nazis. And when Soros is a Nazi and running almost all of this, he's like the evil engine behind it, the will. It makes my mind boggle. Doug Hagmann, it's just, I don't know how to quantify historically where we are right now.
You know, I was thinking about that this morning, and as the memo actually came out, look, I believe right now, today, we sit in the most perilous time in American history, one of the most significant times in American history. And I don't say that lightly because I know all of the how this could be blown out of proportion. But when you see the fact that during the revolution, we did the reasons for the first American Revolution, and we see what's happening today. Look, we don't have an MI5, as Sebastian Gorka had said. We don't have this secret police internal within our government yet. This is exactly what we're seeing having been formed.
You just quantified. That's it. The Clintons had set up a secret police Praetorian Guard within key federal agencies, openly involved in espionage, not against Trump, but against the will of the voters and our republic itself. This is treason.
Absolutely. Treason, sedition. And look, you know, I was joking earlier today. I maybe I should buy some stock in rope companies. And I don't say that lightly, nor do I don't want to sound glib about it. But I've got to tell you, when you look at all of these scandals, all of these crimes combined, and when
the shoe fits, wears it. I mean, look. Exactly. If Trump doesn't go after them aggressively, I don't want vengeance. I don't want to corner people. But they're already cornered. They won't give up. We have to dash them out now.
Yeah, if not now, when? We're not going to have another opportunity.
This is it.
And that's why
God is giving us our one shot. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. What you're saying is total veritas. This exactly. And look, when I say stuff, it makes me public enemy number one when I say we got to get them. But I just can't lie. We have to crush them, right?
There's no other alternative except crush them or be crushed, expose them or forever lose that opportunity at this point. And this is what I believe. These overlapping crimes. Look, the crimes of Hillary Clinton will come out. The crimes of Lois Lerner under the, I could select any number of names and individuals under the Obama regime. They're all going to come to the forefront. And it's because of, for example, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Devin Nunes, pushing this to the forefront. It's because of Michael Horowitz, the Office of the Inspector General.
I was about to say, if it wasn't for these men and women's courage, we would not. We finally had real people in Congress. So it wasn't just Trump or the media or the people. The planets aligned, didn't they?
Exactly. The confluence of events. And the fact is, and everyone listening to this, we are being presented, all of us, individually and collectively, with an opportunity to take our country back. And we need to do that right now, because if we don't do it now, we're not going to be able to do it. Let's come back and
talk about that. Then I'm going to get out of here because I want you to host the show, but you're just on fire because we're all on fire. This is a spiritual choice, isn't it? God knows about our covenant. America was based in Christianity, and this is our last chance. We're all thinking, oh, this is great. If we make the wrong decision on this stuff, do you agree that we're going to be totally turned over to evil?
Exactly.
I'm on fire. We're all on fire because this signifies elements of Congress, the presidency, the courts. Fisa came to the president in April and said, sir, they brought us 3 illegal warrants on you. And we said, no, but they brought them back and it was ordered by the president. And now you have the Fisa court, you have Congress, you have the president. That's all 3 branches. Trump is doing everything by the book. That's what's amazing. You know, Ron Paul said, I could never be a dictator. It'll be hard to fix things. Trump isn't doing it as a dictator. He's doing it the way you're supposed to, by sheer force of will, making hundreds of phone calls a day, going and meeting with people. That's why they hate him. I mean, it's messianic, the energy, the way Trump hid all this, except his dad was giving the John Birch Society money. He was writing op-eds against NAFTA and GATT. I talked to folks that were hanging out with Trump 20, 30, 40 years ago. He'd bitch and complain about, can't somebody really run and turn this around, make America even more wealthier? More wealth makes more wealth. Plunging us down doesn't raise the world up. I mean, Trump just gets fundamental economics. And he likes prosperity. He's a service-oriented billionaire, the blue-collar service billionaire. And so, I mean, he'll break your neck if you take a swing at him, but he's not out to just, oh, look at that family. They're good-looking. They got a nice family, and they got a nice house. I want to make them poor, so I run them. Trump's like the ghost of Christmas present, ladies and gentlemen. He wants prosperity, and that doesn't fit into the austerity world government view of the globalists that want to make you poor. So, Doug, just recapping the epic moment we've reached. The train derailment, the attacks, the Trump and the Republicans meeting in that bunker yesterday before all. I mean, they know this is all coming to a head. They know the globalists are getting ready to make their move. Mueller is so narcissistic and insane. The word is he's going to go ahead and get that swamp jury in D.C. to indict. I mean, out of the swamp. I mean, I've talked to people that have been there. It's been in the news. They say it's like a Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Gloria Steinem event. And so what happens there? The attempt to impeach. I guess 2018 is everything while Trump tries to right the ship, get the deep state out of total control, turn the economy back on. We've got to watch his 6 in these upcoming elections, where we saw with Roy Moore, whether you love him or hate him, 15 points behind in polls, loses by half a point. Democrats showing up in airplanes and buses saying, we got names of dead people, we're going to go vote. I mean, they stole that election. We now know Katie barred the door. They are total blue wave attack. And if we go to sleep and are self-confident, even though we're having initial victories because of Trump's gravity well, we are going to, I think, lose the big one if we let him get surrounded. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. I think we need to, make sure we are buckled in and our seat backs and trade tables are in their full upright and locked position, because there will be blowback. You can expect blowback from the deep state, from the shadow government. This will not go without response. And we've seen it. We've seen the pathetic attempts by Adam Schiff and others about this in response to this memo. But see, again, this is just the first shot across the bow. What comes next is the foundational documents for this. What comes next is the implications or the groundwork to not just dismantle the legacy of Barack Hussein Obama as Donald Trump is doing, which just infuriates the deep state, but it holds to account those individuals who have really attempted to subjugate all of America to and overturn an election and overturn the will of the people. Look, these people are out for blood. Their death grip on their attempts to maintain power. It's just absolutely incredible.
This is a no quarter given, none received, none given back. This is a death battle.
Yes, yeah, and I think people need to realize the serious nature of what we're seeing here. The people within the deep state, just as we saw Hillary Clinton not going away quietly, Barack Obama not going away quietly, establishing a beachhead on Embassy Road there, complete with a skiff. Look, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why these people aren't going away quietly. And that also goes back to the December 21st.
Because they've committed such massive crimes, their own underlings they're having to pay off. They know will come after them. They've got a lot of guaranteed payments made. And as their Saudi money gets cut off, as their Chinese money gets cut off, as their Vatican money gets cut off, as their EU money gets cut off, as their Hollywood money gets cut off, all the people they were paying off are going to come out against them. So that's why we can't just... They're not going to give us quarter, even though we're kicking their butt. I mean, and here's the deal, folks. I get it, battle. They've already come in, and I'm not going to complain about the stuff they've done. A lot of it's public. Some of it's not. But, I mean, up to 100 journalists, so-called journalists, in the room trying to make me lose my kids. You know, the message comes down from on high, roll over, this will all stop. I mean, you know, and I'm kind of proud of myself. Most men would say, yeah, you know, I'll roll over if you leave me alone. Hell no. But the point is, people need to know how serious this is. A lot of us have made big sacrifices to bring us to this point. Me, one of the least. But I'll tell you, the hell the Trumps have gone through, just the experience I've had has been unbelievable. It's made me much stronger and have a much bigger soul. And so I'm actually very pleased. I'm very honored. In fact, I appreciate the persecution. I don't say that to mess with my enemies. It's these trials have really helped me blossom. But people need to understand, this is a real war.
And people need to understand that this is far beyond the political candidates. This goes into the journalistic venue. People are under surveillance. You're under surveillance. We're under surveillance. And look, this whole thing, what's taking place right now, is to attempt to shut us up, to shut us down, to shut you up and shut you down. Same with us. People like Sean Hannity and Sarah Carter.
Isn't Sean Hannity a champion? He's just
fantastic. Yeah. And he look. For whatever people want to say about Sean Hannity, at least he's the one that's out front covering.
Well, he used to toady around with Bush back when things weren't totally clear. That's but right. Now that it's clear, there's no going back for Hannity, and it's a big victory.
Absolutely, and he knows that. And I know people in direct contact with Sean Hannity on a daily basis.
Yeah, tell folks. I don't want it. The media makes a big deal about it, but it's true. I mean, and then they spun it and said he thanked me. No, he thanked us through David Knight and others and through some other people. And it doesn't matter. The point is that he understands it now. He understands he was a kind of a good old boy who believed the system wasn't as dirty as we said because he wasn't a bad guy. He is kind of a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout type guy. But now that the Eagle Scout type guys finally get it's real, they're in the fight now.
Absolutely. And there are so many people who want to take him down, take us down, take all of us down. This is a street fight right now. Now it's turning from the ethereal, if you will. Now it's real. It's in the streets. I don't mean that to say the Antifa stuff, but I'm talking about this is a street battle, bare knuckle battle, and we are in the thick of it.
Let me ask this question real quick. The average FBI person is hardworking and decent and good. We have the corrupt politicos at the top. What percentage would you say of the FBI right now from all your contacts are supporting Trump?
Supportive of Donald Trump? The vast majority. I would say well over 75, 80% in support of Donald Trump in terms of the ideology.
How many reality winners, though, have penetrated the FBI?
Too many, especially at the mid to top level management. When I say top level, I'm talking about the top 10%. When you get above a certain pay grade and position.
Remember the word about the former head. I just read what these people do. They're in a power cult. They are the most chicken, you know what, people. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's look. The way I see it too here is. The people who have fought against the release of what we just saw today, they're obvious. They're the obvious actors, perpetrators of the sting operation against Donald Trump, and it goes far worse than that. The other people, the rank and file, obviously, the people that I deal with that like us, that want to see America survive, hard workers, they're pushing back. Now I've got to tell you that when I was on your show earlier. The secret society remark, deep state meeting, I'm telling you, they're still going on. These meetings are still going on.
When you come back, you take over. Doug Hagmann talks about the secret globalist society inside U.S. agencies. Straight ahead. I'm going to turn this over, even though I want to keep talking. This is amazing. Infowars.com, newswars.com, HagmannReport.com. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Okay, if you go to Infowars.com or newswars.com, you'll see the headline, Memo Release Developing. And then you'll link to a story we have that's basically a placeholder. That's what the Washington Examiner has done, which is fine. They basically repeat what Congressman Gowdy has said and what Congressman Nunes has said, Chairman Nunes, and what Congressman Gates has said on this show. And exactly what we've said is in the memo. But they announced it's being released, but our sources said about 15 minutes ago that it'd be in the next hour. So as we speak, it is going out, and it's whoever scans it first and puts it up on the internet first. I don't care either way. I just want to get it out very, very, very quickly before they stage some false flag or something, because they have been in full panic mode. Fisa memo leak. McCabe admits FBI used bogus Steele dossier paid for by Hillary to obtain FISA warrant to spy on Trump. Now, what did I tell you the memo was based on? The memo that was declassified by the FISA court, reporting 3 times that they believed what the FBI was asking for, what the Justice Department was asking for, was illegal. And that is indeed cited in the memo. That's the big tamale. That's the big enchilada right there. And this is just a roadmap, and the House officially saying You had an insurance policy. You had a secret society. You met with McCabe to fix the intelligence, the deputy director. You went on and on and on and on and on with these attempts and never stopped, never backed down, and just kept pumping the lie about all this. And so now the media is learning the details of what's in the documents, and they're printing me the articles as fast as they come in. If you're driving down the road in your 18-wheeler or listening to us, you know, while you're at the gym or whatever, we will read out all the information as it comes in. Stocks are spooked. Dow falls 400 points. Trump attacks integrity of the FBI and the Justice Department. Politicized probe in favor of Dems. Memo released. ... Developing ... Details. That is the Drudge Report. As the media scrabbles and talks to members of Congress, as the memo begins to go out, you will then see the articles developing. That's not what we did when the former head of the NSA pointed out that, hey, this whole memo, except for the excised parts, is in plain view. We just posted the whole thing. But what a lot of media will do is, as they get it, and I think it's clear that some of these Washington-based groups that are on the Hill now have it, they are writing articles about it instead of just publishing the memo. So the race is on to publish the memo. Check our email. I know Watson's on it. I know Stone's on it. We're told it could be coming in any minute, and just post it directly the second it comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com, NewsWars.
In the FBI and the Department of Justice, in an attempt to subvert our presidential election, to subvert the will of the people, this is equivalent to political assassination. And I know Alex has gone through this, but this is so important because what we're seeing today is history in the making. The U.S. Constitution is not a document that should be shredded. And this is exactly what we saw, the attempted shredding of, the actual attack on our Constitution. But more importantly, and think about this, what we saw was not just merely an attempt to change the outcome of an election, but it's even bigger than that. It's the attempt to change the trajectory of a nation. And when you think about that, and let that sink in for a second, it's just not about Donald Trump. It's just not about the Republican Party or the Donald Trump supporters. It's about the nation, our nation, the United States of America. It's an attempt to change the course of our history. And by the grace of God Almighty, that didn't happen. And does everyone realize how close we came? This would have never seen the light of day with a Hillary Clinton in the Oval Office. Everything would have been buried. But getting back to what Alex had said and talked about throughout the show, to accomplish this attack, we saw the former FBI director, and I'm going to get very specific here based on my analysis of this memo. We saw the former FBI director, James Comey, knowingly and willfully signing off on a Fisa application to spy, to wiretap on American citizens. Obviously, Donald Trump. Obviously, his team, his campaign staff. But during his time as an American citizen, not yet elected, during his time after as a Republican nominee for president, and just an American citizen, during his time as a president-elect, and even during his time as the president of the United States. Let that sink in. Consider the ramifications here. They deliberately concealed the actors behind the FISA warrant application process. If we want to focus there, the actors there, the fact that they lied, there was a material omissions, deliberate omissions, lies by omission, lies by commission. The fact that they were telling the court, the FISA court judge, who, by the way, I'll just say this: I believe that FISA court judge, and I don't know how many people have looked at this because the FISA court is a rather small entity. Rudolph Contreras. I'll be getting back to that in a second, and I'll tell you why I believe that to be the case. And just keep that in the back of your mind. Remember, names are important, dates are important. and names and dates together are extremely important. But I'm kind of mapping this out for you. The opposition, this is not just mere opposition research. This was an attempt to shred the Constitution, to change the will of the American people. And it was exposed through Michael Horowitz. It was exposed through Devin Nunes and his committee, the House Intelligence Committee. And by the way, you've heard Alex talk about, and others on his program talk about the Awan brothers, the Pakistani spy ring in Congress. Oh, you don't think that? Look, that's got a place in this as well, but that's at the periphery of everything. You see, whether it's Benghazi, whether it's the Pakistani spy ring, whether it's the email private servers, whether it's the FISA application warrant. There's more to this. This is just the beginning. This 3.5 page or 3.25 page memo that was released today is just the first shot across the bow. Remember, this is not the end. This is not the midpoint. This is just the beginning. And what is going to happen next, of course, is going to be, as I mentioned with Alex, is going to be there will be blowback and intense blowback, but we will be engaged in war. But getting back, and I feel like I got ADD going back through. But look, getting to this FISA memo. At the very least, we saw deliberate omissions, commissions, lies by omission, lies by commission. Perjury at its face appears there to be done by Mr. Comey, at the very least. Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, he knew these facts, yet he too proceeded to engage in this conduct. Folks, you're listening to Infowars. Doug Hagmann sitting in for Alex Jones. Honored to be doing so this last hour of the show. We are going to be back shortly.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry. 100%. Can you imagine that? Yes, sir.
President Trump released the memo saying that a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves. After unyielding interference by the Democrats, the 4-page Nunes memo detailing FISA abuse involving the FBI's witch hunt of President Donald Trump has been released. The Washington Examiner breaks down the details, reporting the Steele dossier formed an essential part of the initial and all 3 renewal FISA applications against Carter Page. Andrew McCabe confirmed that no FISA warrant would have been sought from the FISA court without the Steele dossier information. The political origins of the Steele dossier were known to senior DOJ and FBI officials, but excluded from the FISA applications. DOJ official Bruce Orr met with Steele beginning in the summer of 2016 and relayed to DOJ information about Steele's bias. Steele told Orr that Steele, was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected president and was passionate about him not becoming president. The FBI and Justice Department mounted a months-long effort to keep the information outlined in the memo out of the House Intelligence Committee's hands. Only the threat of contempt charges and other forms of pressure forced the FBI and Justice to give up the material. Former FBI Director James Comey referred to the investigators of the memo as weasels and liars in a tweet last night. The Hill reports another document, an 8-page criminal referral, filed with the Justice Department by Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley and Senator Lindsey Graham, is also part of the GOP case. Now Americans can decipher why Democratic Representative Adam Schiff did everything he could to not allow its release, including claiming Americans wouldn't understand it, to the bizarre claim that it was unlawful due to the correction of typos.
So these changes were not made known to the committee when we voted out the document. The document that they produced to the White House is evidently not the same one we voted on, and it's just another corruption of the process.
Earlier this week, Schiff had to inform his minority party that both the FBI and the DOJ were officially under investigation by the House Intelligence Committee. The FBI displayed sheer panic as the walls closed in, pleading that they had grave concerns about material omissions of fact that fundamentally impact the memo's accuracy. House and Senate minority leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer had blood in their eyes for House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, urging Speaker of the House Paul Ryan to immediately dismiss Nunes as Intel Chairman.
I do believe that the Chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Mr. Nunes, should be taken out of that office.
Additionally, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe stepped down amid the memo turmoil. McCabe is being investigated by the Office of Special Counsel on whether McCabe's activities supporting his wife Jill's Democratic campaign for Virginia State Senate in 2015 violated the Hatch Act's prohibition against FBI agents campaigning in partisan races, according to Circa News. A glaring example of the arrogance of the top brass assuming they are above the law. And FBI Director Christopher Wray has been under pressure by former FBI pro-Russia narrative pushers to step down. Wray is quietly making the threat to step down on his own accord.
To be willing to quit or be fired at a moment's notice in order to stand up for what you think is right.
The panic is widespread. Now Americans can pour the Drano for themselves, right into that drain clogging the swamp. John Bound reporting for Infowars.com.
What a fantastic report. What a fantastic report for Infowars. Did you catch all of that? Look, I'll tell you something. In my capacity as an investigator for the last 30 years, when I look at that report and I see all of the moving parts within this, doesn't it amaze you as it amazes me, the fact that we are told as Americans, for example, that one part saying that we are too stupid to understand what's in that memo, and of course when that didn't fly too well, they come out and they say, hey, wait a minute, you're giving away sources and methods in this memo by releasing this memo. Grave concerns. And then you've got Christopher Wray, supposedly one of the good guys, coming out and saying, well, you know what? Look, I'll step aside, but I'm really not on board with this. I want to point something out. And this was the subject of, I do 2 radio shows, one in the morning and one at my flagship show at night. And this is something I pointed out in my morning show. The FBI threatened President Donald Trump. And I know that's a pretty broad statement to make, but when you take a look at the subsequent to when this report was completed and sent to the president for for him to sign off, and of course they've got 5 days. He had 5 days to sign off, and then send it back to the House. During that time period, when we pay very close attention, and I know Alex had covered this in previous programs, there was a visit by the FBI agents to President Donald Trump, a contingent of, or not agents, but a contingent of brass of the FBI, to express their concerns, actually to General Kelly, the chief of staff, to express their concerns over the release of this memo. That's a pretty significant threat, combined with what you saw from that excellent report from Infowars, the Christopher Wray saying, well, I could step down. I'd be happy to step down. We are watching at least in my view, based on everything that we've seen here, and as illustrated through that report, we're watching this this Shakespearean soap opera tragedy play out, where you've got the coup of the one-time palace guard, a coup that is still in progress, where you have deep state actors still entrenched within the permanent state, the bureaucracy, including but not limited to the Department of Justice and the FBI, paying Donald Trump's chief of staff, making a visit there, saying, you know what, don't release this memo. What we're seeing, I believe, from that visit and from the excellent report that we just heard and saw, where we are seeing the pushback, the beginning of the pushback. And don't forget, of course, there's that multiple page longer Democratic response. And of course, we know, and Alex talks about this and we talk about this, this is no longer Republican, Democrat. This is deep state versus non-deep state actors. That's what this is all about. You cannot ascribe any D or R after the names of the people involved. But This is still taking place. I can't say this enough. I can't stress this enough. And Alex has done a great job in painting this picture, along with Mr. Binney and others. This is still going on. The palace coup, or the coup, the deep state coup, is still taking place. And I had mentioned right before the break where you recall the reference to the secret society. Tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, some say, that reference in the struck page text. Was that a tongue-in-cheek reference? And then, of course, Ron Johnson kind of seemingly walking that back after talking about it. But here's the issue, and Infowars was one of the first to report on this. In fact, Alex and I were talking about this back months ago. Ed Klein reported on this in his book, All Out War. 4 different branches of the 4 different field offices of the FBI involved in conducting surveillance of members of the federal bureaucracy, individuals within the federal government meeting at different locations, including a church outside of Washington, D.C., where they gathered to talk about how to best impede the forward progress of Donald Trump. Now think about that. Let that sink in for a second. You've got the white hats in the FBI exposing the machinations, the nefarious actions of those embedded in the bureaucracy. It's incredible, and this is still going on. Folks, you're listening to Infowars. Doug Hagmann sitting in for Alex Jones, trying to just keep it together, right? I don't know how Alex does it. Infowars.com. Visit Infowars.com. Folks, remember, right back right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to the Alex Jones Show.
In the wintertime, especially up here in the north, I found a good product, Bod Ease. It's available on the Infowars store. Let me explain this, okay? If you're old like I am, if you've got joint problems in terms of, if you just kind of feel achy, you know how when it's snowing and it's cold out, okay, the joint support this provides, the mobility support, the flexibility, and the inflammation. My wife has got arthritis, takes Bod Ease. It makes a difference. Bod Ease from Infowars. This is an incredible product, all right? Now, I could go on and on and on about this. The turmeric root extract, look, this stuff is fantastic. I tell them, look, I don't want to know how it's made. I don't want to know what's in it. As long as it works, Bod Ease works. And especially for people like myself and my wife, we've got joint problems, mobility problems. I had a frozen shoulder. This is absolutely incredible. This provides a lot of support for your body. Joint support, mobility, flexibility, inflammation support, the whole body support. Now, the way they make this, it's fantastic. I can't make any health claims except to say how it works on me. Bod Ease, go to the Infowars store, and by buying the products at Infowars, you also, of course, help the Infowars, the war in the information war. You're helping them stay in business. Bod Ease, I can't say enough good about it. It's powerful. It's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it's a fantastic product. Bod Ease, look, take it from me, Doug Hagmann, the guy with that used to take 10 minutes to get out of bed at night. Bod Ease. It's got my support. All right. Thank you, Alex Jones, for allowing me to sit in. What an honor it is to be able to host the final hour of Infowars. Hopefully I'm doing okay. If not, just you can fire me. But right before the break, we're talking about the report that was shown, of course, the Democratic response and the fact that the report that was put together by Infowars, a fantastic report about how even the American people would not understand the actual memo once released and how we are being talked down to. There's a clip from Jim Himes. As a matter of fact, there's a 40-second clip, if we can play that now, that kind of gets into the claims of the memo was a second-rate hit job. Can we go ahead and play that?
It's a series of unfounded and out of context attacks on the Department of Justice, on the FBI, and a number of individuals, by the way, most of whom are Republicans, some of whom are Trump appointees, accusing them of bias. And, I'm never a fan. Chairman Goodlatte said, let's let the public know. This is a memo that is based on highly classified information. The public's not in a position, any more than the committee was, Anderson. We were not afforded the opportunity to review the underlying intelligence when the memo was presented to us. Nonetheless, this memo is of such low quality that when it is out there, people will very rapidly see that this is just the latest installment of second-rate efforts to impugn the FBI.
All right, that was Jim Himes talking to Anderson Cooper. Did you note the condescension in his voice, of course, but also trying to minimize the fact that this memo is really there's nothing to it at all. If there's nothing to it, then why the outcry? Why the outrage? Why, in fact, talk down to us? Why make us feel like, first of all, we're not entitled to it, and even if we would be entitled to it, well, gee whiz, we wouldn't understand it anyway. So what the bottom line here, as I wrap up in this guest hosting spot, the bottom line here is what we're seeing, obviously, via this document at its face. We're seeing that there appears to be, at least from my reading of this, perjury by Mr. Comey. This is my viewpoint now. This is my assessment. There appears to be, when you look at Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, he knew of the facts, yet he too proceeded to engage in the conduct that's outlined in the report itself, in the memo itself. And remember, folks, this is just the first of many to come out. The fact that Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates appears to have known this, yet she too participated in these acts. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein appears to have also known these facts, but yet continued forward. Think about this. The fact, in short, at the absolute highest levels of the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice, they're terrifyingly, unbelievably corrupt and co-opted by a political ideology, that being, of course, the Democratic, the DNC, but most importantly, the progressives, the ideology of the progressives. Now, I had mentioned right before the break about my sources telling me, and of course it being in the book All Out War, and of course when I appeared with Alex Jones before, about these meetings and the reference to secret societies right before the last break. Look, what we see going on, what we see outlined in this particular memo, it's still going on. The corruption is still going on. This attempt to take over, to shred, to usurp our Constitution, to take out Donald Trump, to subvert the will of the people. It's still going on. If it wasn't, wouldn't we see more heavy-handed tactics, firing of individuals within the Department of Justice, within the FBI? Yet we see Bruce Orr, demoted, still there, right? Where's he at? How about Rosenstein? How about all of the others named herein? I want to draw your attention to something else as well. Something that, before I forget, I want to mention. I've talked about this on my morning show. Evelyn Farkas, the Assistant Deputy Director of the Department of Defense, who appeared on MSNBC not too long ago. Now, I don't have the clip here. We don't have the clip here to play it, but she had said something extremely interesting, and I think it's important. She had said that after Donald Trump won, she appeared on MSNBC, I believe it was on March 2nd, I'm going from memory now, where she had said that she was very concerned about the Donald Trump transition team and the administration finding out exactly what the previous regime, the previous administration did with respect to the spying and the illegal wiretapping, and how the phrase, she was concerned about how them finding out how they knew what they knew. In other words, speaking to the methods of the surveillance. If you can, kind of a homework assignment for the viewers and listeners, look up Evelyn Farkas, Farkas, MSNBC from March 2nd, I believe it was, of 2017. And listen to that short clip as a homework assignment, and listen to exactly what she says. It's incredible because they have spilled their hand in this. And as Alex Jones talks about, and all of his excellent reporters talk about, and guests talk about, we are seeing this play out. One of the most important stories of our lifetime play out right before our very eyes. This cannot be understated. This memo, and as Alex Jones had talked at length about with Mr. Binney and others, look, this is just, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. This is just the first lob of a ball across the net. This is just the very first of more to come. Expect deep state blowback. Expect it. Count on it. We need to pray for Donald Trump. We need to keep him in our prayers. We need to keep him in our thoughts, and we need to support him, because this is not just about Donald Trump. It's much bigger than that. It's about each and every one of us. It's about the rule of law. It's about the Constitution. But it's kind of wrapping up with respect to the memo, the 3.25 page, 3.5 page, whatever you want to call it, memo. The current Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, knowing the allegations about the Russian collusion, knowing that they're fraudulent, think about this, still appointed Mueller, Robert S. Mueller III, as special counsel, knowing everything. And this, of course, to investigate the Trump administration for Russia, for Russian collusion. He knew that never took place. The whole investigation is based on a fraud. This is based on a sting operation. That's exactly what it is. An attempt to sting Donald Trump. And by extension, each and every one of us. Folks, you're listening to Infowars, Infowars.com. Doug Hagmann sitting in for Alex Jones.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.